So Stugotz came in here just a bit bewildered. He asked me correctly. It's the correct question to ask. Is Greg Cody in today?
Mm-hmm.
There's no proof of it.
It's Tuesday.
Ever since he said he's very punctual and never late, he hasn't been on time since.
Mm-hmm. It's bad traffic out there, man.
Understood, but everyone else got here on time.
Yeah, it's true.
Everyone but him got on time, and you came from further through that bad traffic. Zazzlo is here heroically. What is the reaction to Zazzlo? Zazzlo has inundated our playoff coverage. He won a giant bet, and so he's around as much as he'd like to be with great riches and reward as he climbs the ladder at ESPN Radio. What, Mike, has the reaction to Zazzlo what's it been?
People like Zazzlo.
Nice.
Congratulations, Zazzlo.
Thanks.
I did not know and think
Thanks,
that
Being liked, yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Yes. It's nice. So we've got a Panther fan
I
here.
don't actually check the internet. I'm just assuming.
Guessing?
Tony,
What kind of spot is that? People freaking hate you, pal.
Well, I don't.
I mean,
You
don't
suck.
Don't check the Reddit.
Seriously, don't.
I have simply avoided all commentary, and so I was asking with genuine curiosity, what is the reaction?
I mean, we've been around for 20 years. I don't care.
Okay, fair enough.
It's all right. Everyone's got an opinion.
It's the kind
we're,
of
we're the type of show that just will cater to one comment and be like, God damn it, we can't get it right.
My father will go on Google. He'll be like, hey, I Googled your name the other day. Oh, don't do that. Please don't do that.
You aim for a consensus opinion here.
again, Mike. I wasn't asking for a consensus opinion. I was asking you to tell me what the reaction has been.
you.
He lied to me. He lied to me. He didn't tell me the truth.
I've
He
seen
lied.
some mentions. I don't know, like
Bad spot.
engagement is difficult on social media these days. I don't know what's what. But people generally like Zaz.
Greg's here.
Yes, Greg is
See the
walking
comments.
in
If
late
you like
again.
Zaz, type 1 in the chat box.
For what it's worth, my buddy Kevin loves Zaz.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Tony.
Kevin.
That is
Kev,
that's
Bring up the chat box so I can see all them ones.
Mike, you sound super defensive, and all I asked was a question.
Hey, yes and is what I did.
Mike, stop interrupting me. God Almighty. Just God Almighty, stop interrupting me for a second. I asked you a question.
It's a long weekend on a Tuesday.
I
I'm here,
asked
man.
you. Congratulations
He
on
just showed
being
up.
here.
Don't direct your frustration to me.
Listen,
Greg just sauntered in.
No, he showed up, but did so with the courtesy of not lying to me when I asked him my first question. He just remained silent and then made a bunch of
What's
noise
the lie,
putting
man?
his things on
What's
the
the
floor.
lie?
Leave the lying to me.
Stugotz, what do people think about Zazzlo?
They like him.
There you go.
Nice.
Anybody else have an opinion?
A lot of ones in the chat.
Let's get look at all them ones.
Cody, have you seen any of the reaction to Zazzlo around here? What is the reaction been to Zazzlo? I don't know. I'm asking with genuine
You
curiosity.
think Cody knows?
You mean my reaction or general reaction?
Well, not
I don't know.
everybody likes Zazzlo.
Of course they don't. I mean, why would they? No, I'm kidding, Zaz. You know that. I love you like a pet.
Why would you say that you're kidding there? You're not kidding.
You know, he's
When you say pet,
yeah.
what do you mean by that?
Just an old saying he's been saying for 50 years. He's not updated.
But
the
doesn't he call
catalog at
farts
all.
pets?
Yeah,
I do. You know, that's open to interpretation.
That's
So
why
you
I
love
was
him
trying
like
to
a fart.
interpret it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony.
I
So
love
do you
a
love him
fart.
like a fart
Yes.
or like Jumpin' Charlie? What do you like him?
Tony, this is. Put the microphone in front of your mouth.
I know.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize, white girls better tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan, if you wanna touch my please use caution.
Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the Wake up, let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the
Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, man so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, white girls better tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan, if you wanna touch my please use caution.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
So among Stugotz's discombobulations is that he came in here today and Kristen said, congratulations to all. And Stugotz said, on what? And then she said, on your sports Emmy. And
GBF, huh?
no, not GBF. Then Stugotz asked, because he can be sometimes in his own little compartment far away from the real world in a sphere on acid. Mm-hmm. And when he asked
Mushrooms.
the question, what did we win a sports Emmy for? I looked at him and I wondered how many guesses I would have to give him before he came upon what Metallark made that would have won a sports Emmy. Don't look it up.
I'm typing in a password. That's all I'm doing.
All right, I don't trust you. Keep your sausage fingers away from the evidence. Any data collection will be used against you.
I didn't lie to you pregame. I mean,
You were the only one who didn't lie to me in the pregame.
Well,
You were the only one. Do you know
Right.
how lonely it is to have Stugotz next to me as the most honest man in the room? Please stop typing with those fat fingers.
I'm typing in a password.
Look, now's when you need information.
Little Gmail password.
You've gone 20 years without retaining any information. You don't need some right now.
All right.
What do you think we won a sports Emmy for?
Ooh. The Greg Cody Show with Greg Cody?
Thank you.
No.
It's about time.
That's incorrect. I will say that I did enjoy watching on YouTube. I encourage you to watch the Greg Cody Show with Greg Cody, which is produced very well. The star, The producers on that show, Yeti and his son, do a very good job of conjuring from Greg Cody the best Greg Cody.
Thank you.
The Greg Cody who is dismissed by his son. His son plays the loser who is too hard on him, and Greg gets to win because he just barrels right through all of his son's insults with an alarming amount of unfunny that then becomes funny because of how Yeti and Chris are producing him.
Thank you.
All right, so it wasn't the Greg Cody Show with Greg Cody. The hockey show?
Oh, yeah, Bellamy's got that going on. That is smoking hot. The hockey show.
So far, you've just named 2 podcasts. Not know what an Emmy is.
I don't think he knows what Metallark makes either. I think we could
I
keep.
shouldn't have come in today.
I think we can have him keep guessing.
I'm so annoyed.
I think we can have him keep guessing and not get a correct answer. But I don't think we've celebrated enough. We don't get sports Emmys around here. No, Dan Patrick's been begging to win a sports Emmy the entire time his show's been on the air. Begging. We won a sports Emmy, Stugotz, but can you stop typing, please?
Password, Gmail.
What did we win a sports Emmy for?
Ooh. That soccer documentary we made?
That was several years ago.
Oh.
The one with Grant Wall?
Yes.
Yeah, Good Rivals.
That was good.
Yeah, it was, but it did not win the sports Emmy.
Getting closer, though.
Right. We made another movie. That much I know.
Okay, which one was that?
Did we make 2?
We made few movies. We got a darts movie in the UK, but that didn't win a sports Emmy either here or in the UK.
Darts movie?
It's a great movie.
Really?
It's a great movie.
Sounds interesting.
It should win a sports Emmy. It did not win a sports Emmy. But now all you have to do is correctly name a third movie that Metallark Media has made, and no one believes you can do it.
There was the Red Sox movie.
That's the one. It's not the name.
That's ours, right?
That is ours.
They were down 3-0. They came back. They won it. They won the World Series. That whole thing.
What's the name of the movie?
Spoiler alert.
Oh, wow.
You don't know the name of the movie?
The Sox.
I don't know how to
You're
do
half
it.
right.
I have
Twisted from the bottom.
I
Dan.
have
That's the
confetti I'm
directions
twisting,
here.
and it just broke apart. I was
You're
trying
strong,
to do
dude.
confetti. Go ahead and do your own confetti. We've got broken confetti. Look at this. All we have is congratulations.
Sad confetti.
Yes, to Metallark Media. There it is. That is the height of entertainment, the height of production. We have 4 of 7 confetti makers work and function. Congratulations to Metallark Media
Stugotz can't even get
Salt
his
and pepper shaker. What is this thing?
That's exactly what it looks like.
for winning a prestigious sports Emmy. I want to talk about a number of things today, but I want to begin with the Florida Panthers, and I want to ask Panther fans Mike Ryan, Roy, and Zazzlo if Mikula, Reinhardt, and Greer are that important that the Panthers look totally incompetent as soon as they lose their depth and lose for the first time to that group of losers from Carolina. I can't believe the Carolina Panthers before yesterday, Carolina Hurricanes, excuse me.
That's a fun.
Before yesterday, I can't believe that they had lost 15 straight conference finals games, which is an epic way to be a loser.
Well, Sam Reinhart not being in the lineup, that affects your offense, your defense, your power play, and your penalty kill. And the power play went 0 for 4. So, yeah, that definitely affected things. And the way that Nico Mikkola has been playing lately, he's been joining in on the offense. That affects your offense and your defense, too.
Did you hear them say who scored the game-winning goal in the last time the Hurricanes won a conference final? It was Rod Brind'Amour.
Yep. How about that?
Well, I've got a couple of questions for you guys, because after Carolina lost Game 3, I thought Brind'Amour sounded as broken as any coach I've heard who still had games to play. I thought the comments coming out of the Panther locker room were interesting when they went up 3-0, and I didn't believe what they were saying. I didn't believe what Marchand said, and I didn't believe what Paul Maurice said. Paul Maurice said in Game 3, which would break any man coaching who had lost 14 straight conference finals games, to be in a game on the road trying to save your season, have the Panthers hit you with that onslaught in the third period of 5 goals in your face. Brind'Amour, when asked if his team was fragile, said, I don't know. And it was like the 5th most broken comment that he made. Brind'Amour, who I don't think of as ever broken, but for reasons that would be understandable, the Panthers would break him. Marchand said, after going up 3-0, we're preparing as if this is going to go 7. And Paul Maurice said, in the game that was 6-2, in Game 3, he said, I had a second piece of gum ready because I was prepared to go double overtime. And I just think these people are lying. I don't believe that's the actual mindset of this team. I think it's a good thing to say. I don't believe that they don't believe that they own the Carolina Hurricane.
Well, you know, we expect 7-game series. That's the Panther mantra that they say before every series. But I give Paul Maurice credit. He spent the first 3 games of that series saying this is closer than the score makes it seem. And your friend, the media, and most fans were just like 3-0, 16-4 combined score. Carolina's got no shot. Well, Paul Maurice won, media nothing. He was right. It's been closer than the score seems. And Carolina last night, Florida played terribly, but Carolina was the team we thought it would be.
Hold on a second, though. Don't say it's been closer. That last year's series was closer, maybe, than it looked.
The one 2 years ago?
Yeah.
That was the sweep.
Right.
That wasn't a sweep.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, the non-sweep.
Yes, that Brind'Amour claimed wasn't a sweep. That was
Right.
That was closer than this has been.
You're up 3-0. You outscored them 16-4. It's not close.
It's not just that. They're great at the penalty kill, and in the first 3 games of that series, they have not been, because Florida's done whatever it's wanted to against them, and then Florida wins the way that it always wins, by ransacking you in the third.
That was Carolina's first lead in the entire series. So Carolina is certainly a lot more comfortable with the lead, allows them to play. Certainly the injuries there. And if you want to nitpick about one thing about this Panther run, they have struggled to put teams away at home when they have the opportunity to eliminate them. So I think in that locker room, you're hearing a team that was up 3-0 against the Edmonton Oilers and almost blew that. You're hearing a team that lost an opportunity to win in 6 at home against Toronto and had to go on the road for a Game 7. They've missed opportunities in this run. They've usually bounced back, but you got to think that starts playing with their heads a little bit.
I thought we were uncharacteristically sloppy last night, too. Really from the get-go. Like, we weren't sharp. Like, I don't think the Panthers played terrible last night, but they were sloppy really from the get-go. Kachchuck, really 2
sloppy.
passes Kachchuck made terrible, including giving us 0 chance with the empty net. It's one of my biggest pet peeves in all of sports. When you pull the goalie and the other team scores immediately, so you never even get a chance with the extra skater, and that's what happened last night. Kachchuck just gave the puck away. We had no chance. There was so much time. It was like 2.5 minutes left.
Bad lazy giveaway at the opposing blue line. Kachuk is good for those turnovers occasionally. You got excited. Was it Game 2 where he played really well, and you thought, oh, Kachuk might be back, but he's still not right. He's still not moving well. He's going to be able to deliver something on the power play, especially when he gets behind the net in his happy place, but he's always looking for Reinhart in that high slot. He doesn't have Reinhart there, which might attribute to the power play struggles that they've had.
And Barkov, too, by the way, last night. 2 point-blank chances.
And he got sat down by
and,
Slavin. Slavin was in his
hip. It was more about Carolina. Like, both those times that Barkov had the puck, he was looking to go to that backhand and go top shelf on the glove side, which is his move, and he got it poked away each time. Like, Carolina's defense was really good last night.
I think it was an intentional tank. Because if you all of a sudden you look
Russ
at
versus Russ.
you look at the schedule, if they would have swept, you would have had an 11-day layoff for the Cats going into the Stanley Cup final. So it's like maybe you look around and say, yeah, you know what, we could sit a couple guys, try to get healthy, and then not have 11 days off.
You guys do something with health that I think is interesting and unfair, okay? I understand that Kachchuck is out there, and so if you're out there, your performance is going to be subject to criticism. But if all of us are watching and we know that he was injured playing for his country in the middle of the year, then got rested and came back and looked like he had months of rest because his body has taken his body, smaller than a good amount of the bodies that are out there with him, has taken an unholy beating over the last few years, playing injured during this time of year. He's obvious to the eye, not right, because something's physically wrong. Why doesn't it buy him anything? Why, as the person this important to the team, as the person at the center of a team that's winning, but not right now because of him, why doesn't it buy it something with all of you that you know he's hurt and his performance doesn't match what it would if he weren't hurt?
Well, what is the definition of buy him something? Like what is it not buying him? We're not sitting here mother effing him.
No, it bought him us saying he's not the same player, but also we revisited game 2 where even though his speed wasn't the same, he dominated that game. Had multiple points. He was the best forward, the first star of that night. So he's shown you that he can play well.
No one's crushing him.
And we're not talking like his
Dan's
injury.
saying it should buy him no criticism. That's what he's saying.
His injury affects his straight line speed, his agility. The problem that we had with him last night was the sloppiness with the puck.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with being injured. Him giving the puck away without looking at the blue line. That has nothing to do with anything.
I'm just saying that any performance that is poor would be mitigated or diluted by anybody playing hurt. And so whatever it is that he's giving you, I would think that a fan base that has now grown accustomed to winning, at least in part because he's at the center of your team, has to be good with whatever it gets from a guy that they're throwing out there when he's a percentage of what he normally is.
I don't understand what the take is. Like we mentioned that he's hurt. That's what that buys him. 2 Stanley Cups ago where he came back and had a game-winning point in the one win that they had against Vegas when his body went through what is tantamount to a car accident. It bought him a lot. Look at gutsy Matthew Kachchuck over there. That's legend-building stuff. But if he's out there on the ice, a lot of people are hurt. And if you're sloppy with the puck and you're hurting your team, you don't show up wearing all black for a funeral and play your worst game of the season.
I don't think anybody's down on Kachchuck, but I will say I really admire Paul Maurice. I think he's an uncommonly honest coach who is extremely thoughtful in his answers, and he admitted earlier in this series, I think it was, that through most of the Tampa series, Kachchuck was not himself. He was still trying to totally recover and find his game, but now he is, according to his head coach. I trust that. Is he 100%? No, nobody is this time of year, blah, blah, blah. But I think Kachchuck is himself. And like you said, Zaz, I don't think the turnovers and the giveaways can be forgiven on not being 100% healthy.
And Zaz, the Panthers are winning different ways this year, but if you look at their last conference championship series against Carolina, and you look at that Matthew Kachchuck versus this Matthew Kachchuck, thankfully the Panthers haven't needed him. They barely needed Sam Reinhart out there, but Matthew Kachchuck was bossing that series against Carolina the last time out. Totally different Matthew Kachchuck. It may be because of the team, but also might be because of that health.
Bunch of hockey players in here, Dan. I mean,
it is always interesting to me when we think we're tougher than the people out there. And when Mike says he doesn't understand the criticism, what I would say is my criticism of what it is we generally do this time of year is if you win, we celebrate you. And if you lose, and it might be because you're injured, we don't care that it might be because you're injured. And last night they lost because they're injured. Like last night they lost. Reinhart kind of mattered. Look, 0 goals when I've seen what that team does. Not only what they do on the power play, what they've done to ransack that Carolina team through the first 3 games, then when what that Carolina team does better than anyone is if they're penalty killing, you're not scoring on them. They came into this series being exceptional at that, and Florida neutered them. And to me, this is a funny thing to say, right, because of what happened immediately afterward. I thought that series ended when Carolina had a 5-minute power play, And then Florida had the best chance during that 5-minute power play, shorthanded. And then right after that, Florida got on the power play. However, I can't say that because Carolina immediately tied the score. And so I can't say that the series ended there when Carolina then tied the series. And what Florida did in the third period is what Florida does. And this is Jalen Brunson land, right? When you have the thing that everyone in the sport envies. In the third, they're going to hit you in the face with 5 goals, and you're never going to hit them in the face with 5 goals. Because you can criticize the Panther play all you want. Against that defense, they've scored a bunch of goals. And I wasn't expecting that. Even if Carolina's owned, even if Carolina plays poorly in the conference finals, 15 straight games, I still don't expect them to allow 6 goals. And I don't expect them to 2 games in say, we're going to change the vibe and our goalie. Never mind, we're scared about everything happening here.
Greg, is it fair to say that this is all an overthink? I mean, nobody beats a Carolina Hurricanes 16 games in a row.
Everybody knows that's very tough.
It's very difficult to do in the Eastern Conference Finals. You had a team who's a good team, whose season was on the line, who wants to finally win for their head coach in the conference final.
Who was due?
They were in a rock fight. That was 1-0 until Kachchuck makes that sloppy
15
play.
is one thing. 16 is a whole different ballgame.
Different ball game.
Just like it was a team of looking to avoid being swept, and they answered the bell such that it was.
Yeah, I don't think last night was a huge surprise, and I'll say that it was an anomaly what was happening, what we'd seen. Florida had scored 5 or more goals in 4 straight playoff games, only the 4th team in the last 30 years to do that.
Go on.
Extraordinary. And during the regular season, this was not one of the highest scoring teams in the league. So I think for them to struggle a game when Carolina was playing for its life is not a huge shock. It's hockey being hockey. That's it. I mean, I don't want to overreact to this loss, right? They can come back in Carolina in a couple of days and win that game, and nobody's going to be surprised. Nobody.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is it very hard to beat the Carolina Hurricanes 16 times in a row? I do like the push and pull of Greg saying, I don't think we should overreact. No one here is overreacting.
Well, it seems like you are.
There is what? Tell me. Go ahead. Tell me what my overreaction is.
Seems like you're concerned. That's all.
I'm not. Tell me what please tell me what my overreaction is. Give me a sentence that would suggest I'm overreacting to anything because there's nothing to tap the brakes on here. I'm simply taking the result from last night and talking about it. There is.
I think it's fair to say you're overreacting to our criticisms of Matthew Kachchuck, which are totally valid. Like we know how tough he is. He's bought a lot with his audience. You can say that he had a bad game and acknowledge that he's injured. That may be a contributing factor, but he's out there on the ice. You'll be the first to tell you everyone's hurt this time of year.
I mean, the Stanley Cup final versus Vegas should be enough to buy him that favorability there.
This is what I would say to you guys because it's not an overreaction. He's pointing at you because of how well you said that, Roy. That's why he's pointing at you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just interrupting people. That's all it is.
You said it's an overreaction. I say it is just a reaction. And what I'm also saying about Kachchuck specifically is when Mike says everyone's banged up on this time of year, not so overtly that I can see the difference between them being a good player and them not looking right. Like, it's usually not quite that overt where it's like, oh, I don't recognize the person anymore because he's obviously hurt. Usually it's not quite that overt.
No, he's clearly still hurt. And there were times during this playoffs where he's just a body out there. But his skill set offensively is him being in front of the crease, him getting rebounds.
Hold on. Let me push back for a second on I think Kachchuck is probably not 100%, but Mikkola and Greer were essentially game time decisions yesterday. And it really feels like they were sat down because we're up 3-0, let's make sure they're okay. So if Kachchuck is really hurt, why hasn't he been sat for a game like these guys?
It's an excellent point, and they have a really good winger that's not dressing for games in Mackey. They've shown how deep they are. Jesper Boquist goes from not dressing to being on the first line.
It's never even
with
been a
Reinhart.
consideration for Kachchuck to sit.
And that's, by the way, that is absolutely what's happening with Reinhart. If the Florida Panthers were facing elimination, Sam Reinhart would give it a go. But the Panthers decided, we're kind of having an easy time with this opponent right here. Let's save him.
That's exactly right, because Maurice said of Reinhart,
go on,
he hasn't been cleared and he hasn't been ruled out. He could have played last night if they're in a closer series.
They're up 3-1.
Yeah, if you guys say,
The
though...
hell are we doing?
If you got nothing, we're talking about the game last night.
All right.
What are we doing is we're talking about...
talking about hockey.
We're talking about...
3-1. I mean, they're in the Stanley Cup, third straight season. Let's celebrate it.
Stugotz, should we only talk about the game if it goes to game 7?
We're not there yet.
Let me stop all of you when you say easy time. Well, the coach just told me he's preparing for 7. Or I'm sorry, Marchand said he's preparing for 7. It's the coach's message. The coach should...
Always.
Well, but you say always, but not in gesture if he's sitting Reinhard right now.
That's the Panthers' mantra, though. And back me up, Roy. Before every series,
Go on.
The Panthers are. Quit saying "go on." What are you before every series, they're like, "We prepare for 7 games." That's just the Panthers' mantra. It's nothing new about this series. That's what they say. That's what they do.
I get that, and it's their mantra, but it is a lie when they sit Reinhardt and give away a game.
It's not a lie. I mean, if anything, they're encouraging 7 games by sitting him.
Noted, they sat him for game 3, and they won that game, and their decision was rewarded.
I can't believe that hit resulted in someone just being day-to-day. Is anybody making the joke, the dad joke, as celebrated on the Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody?
Sure.
Is anyone making the joke about Sebastian calling him an aho because of what he did to Reinhardt? That the retaliation came on Sebastian because he was clearly an aho? No one's making that joke?
No, I no.
Why would they make that joke? It's a terrible joke.
It's pretty good. No, it's pretty good.
Man, you knew he would show up for that empty net. Sebastian Aho, one of the great frauds in that sport. You knew at 6'1" that dude was going to be pin hunting.
Oh, and it was such a charity goal. He was past the puck in front of the net. Why didn't the other guy shoot? Here's a little gift for you, you aho.
No one's making that joke. It's a terrible joke. But I will say that the Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody has a weekly dad joke that is aggressively bad, and it's more like a granddad joke. I feel
No,
like
they're good. They're good jokes.
they're terrible
Yeah,
every
they are.
time. Every single time they're terrible. I mean, dad jokes are always terrible. Aren't by definition, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show, aren't by definition dad jokes always terrible?
They're so good. They're so bad that they're good. That's the way I look at them.
Right.
You know, you can
Stop
groan,
talking.
you can groan and smile at the same time. Am I right? For example, what does the custodian say when he suddenly comes out of the supply closet?
You blew that joke.
I know, I really did. The setup was bad.
Supplies. Like,
Yeah, instead of surprise, he said supplies. But I
but
blew
you
it.
shouldn't have
Yeah.
put supplies.
I know,
Supplies
I shouldn't have.
party. Yeah.
I'm
Again,
sorry. I was going from memory. You know.
which if you're a granddad makes the jokes a little harder because you're telling granddad jokes. They're not even dad jokes. They're another level of bad.
That's true.
There's
But-
no such thing as granddad jokes. Those haven't been invented
Yeah.
yet. And
Yeah,
yours
I'm
are
gonna coin that phrase. Let me write that down.
Yours are so bad that they're granddad jokes.
Yeah,
true.
but they're cute and the grandkids love them. Like my dad says every time he takes us out for dinner, he says as he's looking over the bill, he says, "What'd we do? Break a window?" My kids are expecting it and they still laugh. I still laugh. He's
Thank
been
you.
saying it for 40 years.
Yes.
I mean,
I've been saying that for like 25 years.
yeah,
I credit your dad for that.
you got it. Yeah, you should. Yes.
By the way, my granddaughter's graduation from grade school today, 2nd grade. It's big. Not everybody graduates from 2nd grade. There's a lot of 1st grade dropouts, so we're very proud of her for graduating. Didn't mean to derail your show.
Yeah,
there.
you did. Yeah, you
true.
did with
Yeah.
your self-involvement and your narcissism.
Yeah, well, you brought up granddad. You know, proud to be a granddad. Mm-hmm. Any other granddads here?
No.
Nope.
Pat Riley. He's a granddad.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's here.
That's a
Right,
cardboard
yes.
cutout.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Ah, it's so lifelike.
I'm not wrong that dad jokes by definition are bad, right? He makes the clarification that they're so bad that they're good. That's why they're dad jokes. But
Yeah.
they are always bad. They're not good jokes on the front.
I think they are. I think some of them are very clever. Not the one that I bungled a minute ago, but generally speaking there. If I could remember any of the others, I'd recite another one.
I'm going to move on to basketball things because I want to get Stugotz's thoughts on all things Knicks Pacers as the Knicks saved their season in a surprising way. But before I do that, I wanted to go back to just Saturday night for a second when I'm watching the start of Minnesota OKC. And Richard Jefferson had the audacity in the intro of that game to say, OKC and Minnesota, OKC was up 2-0. Quote, both teams are literally playing for their lives. End quote. Which not only are they not doing it literally, obviously, more people would have been watching if it had been literal.
For your life.
No, but
story.
nor were they doing it metaphorically or in any other way, because that's not a thing that can happen when the series is 2-0. Like, what he said made no sense whatsoever. Tony, you're shrugging your shoulders.
You know how it is, Dan. You're live on air. All of a sudden, something comes out. You're like, I wish I didn't say that. I got to rebound.
No, be better. Come on. You're previewing the game.
I don't love him on the first team, by the way. I just wanted to say that I don't love Richard Jefferson on the first team.
That's terrible. Like, you can analyze and criticize any announcer for any one sentence, but that sentence is especially asinine.
What kind of number you think that game would get if they were playing for their lives?
Highest rated game in the history of games.
It'd be huge. Like MASH, right?
A game for your life?
Like it would rival MASH's rating in their final show, right?
It
Agreed,
would.
yes.
Better. You'd
Yeah.
have to play it in a Coliseum, not on a court.
You're right.
Yeah, it would be like the Running Man.
I think people would tune out during the pregame.
You think that?
But the post
I
game.
think people would tune in and be like, "All right, 2 teams playing for their lives." I'm like, "Is that the dude that used to run the what? I can't do it with this show. They'll never get it right. They're dyeing their hair on that dais."
I think that the reaction to that show would make it so that Richard Jefferson shouting that would make it spectacle and even better. We'd be amazed. But what a weird thing to have happen. The first ever game for your actual life in the Western Conference Finals, and it's the third game.
First 2 are free. Third one.
Really? Imagine
This
the
one's for
stakes
your
on a game.
life.
Imagine the stakes on a Game 7.
If we're making me playing for my life a television spectacle, do not invite Bob Myers. Just don't. I don't want him there. I don't need his insight. Don't want him there.
What are the stakes for a game 7?
This is my exact point on that game is the following. Having now seen that game and the way that Richard Jefferson described it beforehand,
Right.
It is a game that literally no one involved will ever remember, which is not something that would have been the case if they had literally been playing for their lives. Now, having seen the result, Minnesota dragged OKC means nothing. Means absolutely nothing. Minnesota is now finished. OKC will win the title. If they do not get hurt, OKC will win the title. They're a good deal better than everyone else.
Or if they play the Knicks.
Well, tell us now how you're feeling, Stugotz.
We're back.
I'd like to know how you felt beginning that fourth quarter, and I'd like to know how you felt about Karl Anthony Towns entering that fourth quarter.
I was thinking, to be honest, Dan, I was firing Thibodeau at halftime. I was thinking of ways we can get rid of Karl Anthony Towns, and now I'm considering putting him in my top 5 Knicks of all time. I mean, that's how big he was in that fourth quarter. Listen, I was upset after game 1. I know you wanted my tears. I didn't give you my tears. I was really upset after game 2. To lose 2 games at home, you're thinking to yourselves, we have no shot of winning this series, or perhaps we won't win this series, but at least we have a chance. And at least we have another game at the Mecca in New York City. So we bring the series home. I'm very optimistic. I feel like the Knicks have the better team. I really, really do. I am tired of the Pacers and their fan base and Reggie Miller. I'm tired of all of it. All of it.
The thing that you said about you were upset after game 1, I actually sent out to some math friends of mine and some people who really know the history of basketball. And I asked them, if Halliburton took that shot 10,000 times, how many times does it do what it did?
Right.
And the consensus was 0. Right. The consensus
amongst your math friends.
My friends.
Who has math friends?
Right.
I mean,
Dorks, nerds.
Right.
The empirical data people who crunch the numbers on sports a little bit better than you two do.
Math friends.
You see how he added empirical to make his math dorks
Hedge
more
fund
impressive?
friends.
Hedge fund
Analytics.
empirical
Yeah.
analytics.
Hedge fund wise.
Out of here.
Friend. What a lame
And by the way,
friend.
that sounds like a guess. 0 times. Sounds like a guess.
How about this? Shooter's touch.
Yeah,
That's the math.
There is that.
How you like that one?
Put it on
with an abacus.
Factor that in.
Put it on the poll. Put it at Le Batard Show. Shooter's touch. Is that math? Because Stugotz just said shooter's touch. That's the math I like. Tony agreed. And again, I will say to Stugotz, I was trying to support Stugotz's point when he says, I think the Knicks are the better team. They're that close from being up 2-1.
Yes.
And instead of their season being a quarter from done, the Knicks are a 0 in 10,000 tries, because a few of my math friends then called a cooler friend, Kevin Harlan, who then said he had never seen a ball go in after going that high after bouncing on the rim in all of his time covering basketball, all the games he's ever done.
He's called a lot of games.
That's analysis right
That's
there.
the kind of math I'm
Should've
looking
led
for.
with that,
Yes,
Dan.
right.
Not math friends.
I think he could have done it again.
What about all the bravado from Stugotz? Like, we have the better team. Yeah, they're this close from being up 2-1 in that series. They're also this close from being down 3-0.
Well,
that was a game they saved their season with another 20-point rally.
Yes.
That's not hugely inspiring to me. It's great that they fought to save their season, because then this series would have been done and dusted. But the confidence oozing from you is a little perplexing.
Well, I spoke to my math friends as well, and they told me we should be up 2-1 right now. So I'm feeling pretty good about my chances. I mean, I am.
I don't believe that Stugotz is
a math friend,
a teller of truth, or has a math friend. I believe that he's going to go bravado on the Knicks until they lose, and then he will not show us his hurt. I believe that Stugotz has been concealing what is his real Mets.
Well, it depends how they lose, Dan. If they lose a heartbreaking 7th game, or if they're up in the game 6 and they have a shot to bring it back to Madison Square Garden, I'm going to be crushed. Like, you'll get my tears. But right now, I do feel like we have the better team, and I do feel like we're still very much in the series, of course.
But what I'm saying to you is, you did lose game 1 that way, and you pretended like it didn't bother you.
But it was one game. That happens in a game 6 or a game 7. I'm crushed. Like, crushed.
Okay, it is one game, but it was the one game that made it so that you'd be sitting here today saying, I still feel like we're the better team, even though you're 1 quarter from being down 3-0. Like, you're
I'm also a bad shot away from being up 2-1. Like, a really bad shot. Like a terrible decision. Perhaps the worst decision in the history of the NBA, and somehow we're celebrating Halliburton. Please.
One of the decisions that my math friends say is a 0 in 10,000 chance of happening again.
How does he know?
That's ridiculous to say that. I mean, you have better than a 0 in 10,000 chance to win the lottery. You can't say, mathematically, you always say, well, you got 1 chance because shit happens. But I also think it's fair to say that the 2 East teams are playing for the right to get smoked by OKC in the final. What we're seeing here is SGA justifying his MVP award. We're seeing the face of the league emerging, and we're seeing a budding dynasty. The seed has been planted for a Thunder dynasty. Young team, they're going to be better in 3 years. Stand out of the way. Here comes OKC.
Is stand out of the way how you say that?
Get out of the way.
Yeah. I don't think stand out of the way. Stand out of the way?
Is it get out of the way?
I've just never.
Stand aside, I think.
I think you're mixing a couple of phrases there. You were trying to punctuate it. I don't know why you
stand out of the way. Let me think about that. You could be right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
What should it have been, though?
Get out of the way.
Move out of the way. Because if you're standing,
stand back.
You're not moving.
Stand aside.
Yeah.
Step aside.
It should have been,
stand back. Jack would have
stand
worked.
Back,
but
Jack.
stand out of the way is.
Well, I feel like I just invented a phrase that's now going to take root in the lexicon.
You're
welcome.
Has Dorcher Chamber taken?
That's a good name.
That's a good one.
Root. First of all, Lou Dort is a terrible name for an athlete.
Yeah.
Lou Dort doesn't work. 2 quick syllables, scores 6 points a game, gives you defense. Lou Dort intimidates no one. But now I'm going to wrap you in the Dorcher Chamber. That's a totally different
Now
thing.
you got me.
Different guy.
Now you got me.
Yeah,
That's a T-shirt
Well,
right there.
when he says of OKC, see, he's not wrong about this, but let's go back for a second when we hyperventilate in the moment. Let's go back for a second when OKC is trading Paul George so that Kawhi Leonard and him can be with the Clippers. Let's just go back there real quick and get all the analysis that said, hey, in a few years, OKC is going to be a dynasty. God, let's get all, where was that? Where was that in any of the analysis? I know OKC got a bunch of draft picks, and it allows them to totally rig the game. And this is how they rig it. They lock up young players in a city they don't want to be in for a long time. SGA would be out of there in a minute if he could be, but he's got to stay there for a long time because they've gamed the system, and this is how they do it. With a dumbass draft, they take players who would have freedom with those talents anywhere in the world in capitalism and say, you've got to live in a place you hate. And it's tiny and small, and you've got to live there for 7 years. That's how they're going to make it a dynasty, by totally gaming the math. I've asked my math friends. They gamed the math. And OKC, where was the analysis? That's going to be a dynasty in a few years, because they weren't saying about Danny Ainge for collecting all the draft picks either. And Danny Ainge collected plenty of draft picks, and that's not what they were saying. They were getting tired of him not trading any of those draft picks. Who had OKC winning the Paul George, Kawhi Leonard trade with not just a championship, but I saw it just now on Get Up, and Greg just said it. Dynasty.
To Vegas, gets drunk, and Roy has to finish his hockey segment.
Mike Ryan has landed in Vegas. God knows what time it is right there. God knows if he's slept at all and what kind of intoxicants he's on. But let's just play sound from Mike Ryan. He's not chasing the Jokic brothers in Denver. That's a mean. But let's play the sound before we introduce Mike Ryan and his nice hat.
I'm actually hearing, we're about to play this sound here. I'm actually hearing Mike Ryan is hopping in the Zoom. But let's play this video first to set it up.
All right, is the video ready? Because a lot is happening around here this week. It's crazy. This is a careening clown car that is going to pinball all over the place, and I'm very scared we're going to get in trouble this week because it's hard to keep the lights on, and we shouldn't do any of this stuff live. Let's go ahead and go to Mike's initial report. Was it from the Vegas airport? Was it around slot machines? Where was he? Let's listen in.
Howdy, folks. Just here in fabulous Las Vegas. Have a great time. Just landed. And it's going to create a lot of special content for all you guys out there. It's Sunday Fun Day. The world is our oyster. And we're just getting going. Where's the Tropicana? It's the wrong kind of big cat. Different big cat's going to be taking over the strip. Let's get a drink.
Welcome to the world famous Las Vegas
Strip. As you can see,
Man,
my battery's dead. No, I have a. There's a battery store right in there. Battery store, right? There's a battery store right in there. I'll come back. Wait. Be right back. Yep. No, you want me to get it? No, I'll get it. Yeah. Be right back. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes.
He's got a gambling problem. That's what this is going to end.
Hello?
Hello, Miguel? Michael?
Is this Mike?
Michael, you want Michael?
Is this Mike Ryan?
This is Michael's friend. Hey, listen here, okay? D1, okay? Do you know what D1 means? D1 means don't worry about nothing, okay? Don't worry about nothing. Miguel, he's in good hands, okay? That's all you need to know.
He was kidnapped, but we have him in the Zoom.
Reach Mike Ryan.
No, you'll see Michael. You'll see Miguel. You'll see him tomorrow, okay? He'll be okay,
man, hey, let him know his producer, John, is trying to reach him.
He'll know. I got you, okay? I'll leave a message, okay? Get some Oscar, okay? Miguel is okay?
Unbelievable.
Some honey, okay? Go Panthers, go Panthers, go out. Meow. Take care, okay? Ciao.
I mean, we sent Mike to Vegas on a Metallark account. I didn't know we had sent John Reed to Vegas on a Metallark account. Do we trust him enough to have him in Vegas? I don't know.
Gotta have a producer.
I don't know about that one, Dan.
Mike Ryan, thank you, Tony. I don't know why he's there on an account. Mike, are you sober? What time is it right now in Vegas?
Oh, okay. They got to patch us through.
Mike, you got us?
Mike, are you there Okay, excellent work by you guys. Thank you. I appreciate that
This is a them issue.
Ready to go.
Your concerns have been validated.
But just look at him.
I mean,
holy shit.
I didn't know he was going. I didn't know we could have used him here.
Was that a Haitian accent? What was that accent?
The kidnapper is of undetermined foreign kidnapping skills and ethnicity.
Well, bad skills if he's in the
Like
Zoom.
from Top Gun.
It's just a general threatening accent. Could be from anywhere in the world. Could be any kind of person.
There he goes.
Yes, yeah. Vegas nightclub life is no good for him.
I can't hear. No puedo oír. No puedo oír.
You can hear me. You can, Mike. Can you give us a report here from Vegas? Roy's going out for games 5 and 7. We haven't had time to get to Roy's notes. Roy's mistakes. Do you want to go over them with him? Do you guys, Roy, go ahead and handle this segment here with Mike Ryan and talk about our hockey coverage.
Is he at the Waldorf? I mean,
I can't hear them.
All right, Mike. I will try not to go as loud.
Fine.
You got a hangover, so I'm going to go with the mistakes that the Panthers made. So let's go with the Jonathan Marshall show going right now, all right? So both your D-men went behind the net, both of them, covering one man. That left the front of the net wide open for Jonathan Marshall. So that's one mistake right there. He had some bad luck with Anthony Duclair blocking a shot, so he was hobbled on the ice, could not get off the ice.
Right.
And Shea Theodore made a move on him at the blue line, turned around, left him in the dust, ended up in the middle of the ice, and the screen in front of Bob could not see the puck. Allowed that
Bob trying to see the puck was one of the great videos.
I thought he was going to start jumping up and down on his skates. Yes.
And then the last mistake here, the Mark Stone goal. Aaron Ekblad tried to clear the puck out of the zone. Puck rolled up on him, ended up being a pop fly basically, and Mark Stone knocked it down with a high stick, which they reviewed. I still think it was a high stick, but
same. They were saying that it's like when he's standing tall, right?
But he's tall
because he's skating. It's lower. Get out of here. If it's above the shoulder, it's a high stick.
Yeah, he leaned to the right, so his shoulder dipped a little bit.
But they're saying if he was standing straight, it would not have been a high stick. That's what they're saying.
The puck was over the crossbar.
They were projecting.
Mike Ryan, your thoughts? Live coverage from Vegas, hungover, 6 o'clock in the morning. Get some sleep. Your thoughts on Roy's mistakes? He still can't hear me? All right. Excellent work, John Reed. Thank you. Now's a good time to take care of the lights and everything there with the last 4 seconds of the segment. Thank you, gentlemen, for all your hard work.
Billy does Barbados, Carnival.
So welcome back, Billy, and I don't know where this particular tension is going to end up. Welcome back. And I also want to get to Mike Ryan. He does not agree with you on Hard Knocks, Chris. He doesn't.
Oh, trust me. We had a whole text exchange last night. I almost drove to his house to fight him.
Yeah, you guys have very wildly disparate opinions on the Oakland Raiders and Hard Knocks. But first, Billy, welcome back. How was your honeymoon?
It was good. Thank you for asking.
Oh, he's tightened up his game now that he's refreshed. Okay, things are
it's just so hot today, Dan. I don't know what's going on with the air, but luckily I have this little fan that I bought before a hurricane that I have plugged into my phone, so like it's keeping me nice and
leg dribblers, calling all behind the back passers, calling all bench warmers. Guess what time it is? It's playoff o'clock. And since I love to give gifts, I'm bringing you post-game lives. That's right, I'm going live after every Eastern Conference game. And since we're going live, you got to know I got to bring my crew. Trista Crick, Zach Harper, Josh Smith, Kofi Yaboa, Amin El Hassan, Israel Gutierrez, Tony Calatayud, Oprah Winfrey, maybe even Senor Daniel Le Batard. Join us to talk smack or celebrate with us every single night right here on the DLS YouTube channel, baby. YouTube, you see us.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Dan, they were down 2-0. 2 home losses at the world's most famous arena. People celebrated Tyrese Halliburton for making one of the worst decisions in the history of basketball, and for thinking he ended the game when in fact he did not. You practically held a funeral for the Knicks. You wrote them off. Well, guess what? They did it right back, because they went on the road and they saved their season. And Dan, just like that, make no mistake about it, the New York Knicks are back.
You say that, and I don't agree with you.
What do you mean?
They won.
They're not back?
They won because Brunson.
You didn't hold a funeral?
Brunson was in foul trouble.
It was a smart shot?
Brunson and Cat playing together is a defensive disaster. Brunson ranks 147th out of 147th on plus-minus defensive
Who
metrics.
told you that, math friends?
Yes.
Dorks.
Right.
But they won because Brunson was out. That's
Right.
they can't play Cat and Brunson together.
Says who?
Defensive metrics.
Oh. Habistro? Abbott? Who was it?
Math friends.
Speaking of back, Sunderland, welcome back to the Premier League. The Black Cats. Also back, Ronald Acuna Jr., 467 feet, dead center, first pitch back. I mean,
After
that guy.
That's crazy. That first pitch back, you can't throw it over the plate to him.
He's got to know, right, that I'm swinging at the first pitch no matter what, because if I do hit a home run, that shit is cool.
Also back, the Red Clay at Roland Garros. 4 things back. Long weekend, Dano.
That is a lot of backs.
Yeah.
Nori just beat Medvedev.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
He's out?
Yeah, Cam
I'm
Nori
telling you, this
Cam
French
Nori
Open,
back from the dead.
It's a different tournament.
It really is. Love that Clay. How great was that tribute to Rafa?
It was awesome.
Yeah, the 4 legends of
So
that
good.
generation.
See his
It was
kid
really
high-fiving
cool.
the other 3.
That was awesome.
It was nice. Yeah. Cute kid.
Is his arm also a lot larger than his other arm?
The kids?
They were saying that
Larger
should
than
have been,
Federer's.
That should have been the way that they honored Rafa, instead of like forever having a footprint in the clay, just a huge left arm.
An arm that looked like a thigh.
Dan, when the Knicks are down 20, you know where they have you?
Right where they want you.
Yeah, you're on your game. 20 points is the most dangerous lead in basketball. Dan, I'll never forget where I was when a lineup with DeLone Wright and Landry Shamet saved the Knicks season.
That Shamet 3 in the corner was huge.
Massive.
And the offensive foul.
No idea it was a Knick.
Again, they won because Brunson had to sit.
Yeah. Are you saying the Knicks are better without Brunson?
I'm saying they're
What are
better.
you saying?
I'm saying they're
What are
better.
the math guys saying?
They're better at defense without Brunson.
Oh.
That they show every time Thibodeau goes in and out with Brunson on defense the last 2 minutes of any game.
Tom Thibodeau trying out new lineups in a must-win game. You know what that was, of course, right, Dan?
Throwing the kitchen sink at them.
Everything but the kitchen sink game. Man, you are on it, Thibs.
Oh.
Yes. I fired him at halftime.
Yeah, I mean, Mitchell Robinson's a fun player to watch.
He is.
Problem is you can't burn him out for 46 minutes. He needs to play like 19 minutes.
And you just can't. He's not fun to watch at the free throw line. Like Stan was saying the other day during the game, every time he grabs an offensive rebound, just foul it.
I can hear Stan's eye roll sometimes
Yes.
at Reggie.
Good.
Stan's going to be on this week. You're going to. I want to hear you ask him that.
There was a moment with like 30 seconds left, and Reggie's like, "You got to foul here," and your math friends were probably losing their minds. No, you don't. No, you don't. And you could hear the eyes rolling on SVG at that one bit of analysis.
Why didn't anyone roll their eyes at Richard Jefferson saying both teams were literally playing for their lives in Game 3, OKC, Minnesota? For all my objections to it, I'm just saying you can't say OKC is playing for their lives. They're up 2-0.
I'll take game for your life whenever someone wants to say game for your life. I don't care.
How do you know he didn't have inside info?
Right.
33 seconds. The spread between the teams is 3. They have a shot at the 2-for-1. No, you don't, Reggie. No, you don't.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Can a team that's up 2-0 literally be playing for their lives? I'm sorry to
They're
be
still up if they lose.
I'm sorry to be so mad about it. The game didn't matter at all to OKC. Like, at all. Never mind being for their lives.
According to you, not according to him.
They could have just not come to the game, and it wouldn't have mattered.
I'm just considering maybe we didn't have all the information going into the game.
Right.
And then they won after they lost their lives.
Right.
Hard to do.
Impossible. They should win the series. I mean, let's just move on. Knicks Pacers, the rare Eastern Conference Finals. That just keeps starting. A home team win a game. Anyway, Scott Foster did what Scott Foster does. The extender. The extender. Sounds like a great Jason Statham movie.
What does it sound more like? A Jason Statham movie or a Jimmy Johnson commercial for erectile pills?
Wow. Wow.
One of the most shocking things of my lifetime commercially
Same.
was seeing Jimmy Johnson in a race suit, a race car suit.
Extends. Yeah.
Doing commercials for something that makes your pee-pee longer.
Boing.
Well, I don't know. Longer.
You're Jimmy.
You had to go boing there?
I did.
Johnson.
That was no sound effect either, by the way. I created that. It was literally the best sound effect I've ever made myself.
The Knicks and Pacers are a combined 12-2 this playoffs on the road. Road court advantage. Both teams would sign up today for only road games. Do you believe that?
I do not.
I don't think the Knicks like playing in the Mecca. Weird. I spent the entire third quarter coming up with trades to get Karl Anthony Towns off the Knicks, and spent the entire fourth quarter saying he was the best Knick of all time. It's quite the roller coaster, these games. T.J. McConnell leads the NBA in Pesky. Campaign leads the NBA in irrational confidence. The Mario Chalmers top 5 players in NBA history who had the most irrational confidence. He has naming rights. Number 5, Ruben Patterson for dubbing himself the Kobe Stopper. Number 4, J.R. Smith. Number 3.
I saw him, by the way. You haven't lived until you experience the NBA playoffs the way that I did this weekend.
Okay.
I was right near Madison Square Garden when it emptied. It was very quiet as it emptied on Saturday night.
Right.
It was just as empty, just as quiet Sunday morning, but I did see right in front of my hotel smoking a joint in the street, J.R. Smith, and it made me feel good about where I was in the world.
Huh. Seems right.
That doesn't sound like him.
Is he coaching somewhere?
He is, I think.
He's golfing pretty well, too.
No, he's a coach somewhere.
He's a great golfer, and he was just right. I will
coaching
not
at college.
I will not get used to being in New York City and seeing people smoke openly in the street, but to have J.R. Smith do it felt right.
Yes.
I saw J.R. Smith one time at Dayland Mall without a shirt. Just in the mall. No shirt. Nobody said anything to him.
Smoking?
Not smoking. When he got outside, yeah. But in the mall, just no shirt.
He spent, after they won the championship, both him and Ron Artest spent a lot of time, days, either in Artest's case, wearing his uniform around the city, or being shirtless, and J.R. Smith just being shirtless.
New York City is weird. It's a free-for-all, man. Everyone's just smoking weed.
Do you think it's weird? You guys think it's weird that I'm sitting there telling you, do you know that it's still strange to me, optically, based on how it is that I grew up around marijuana, to see J.R. Smith in front of a hotel just openly being okay smoking marijuana, and there's no stigma to it? Because I felt like he had to hide it poorly the entirety of his career.
No, that's how I visited Amsterdam 25 years ago. I was like, this place is crazy. It's like that.
Dan, there's still a stigma around snitching.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. Don't be putting his business out there.
Wait a minute. That's not
J.R. Smith does not have that kind of reputation for you to be doing that. You know, Mike, not
careful.
cool.
Yeah.
Just say I wasn't sure it was him.
Right.
Could have been an impersonator.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure it was weed, but I was, because it was J.R. Smith. I didn't even see smoke or anything in his hand.
Right.
I just thought,
So seeing J.R. Smith confirmed for you that it was indeed marijuana.
It was 8 o'clock in the morning. It's J.R. Smith. I don't see any smoke around him, but clearly he's smoking, right? Because it's J.R. Smith.
Wow, early buzz.
Wake and bake. Number 3.
Is that still snitching?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
If it's legal, but if it's what?
It is legal.
I want
right?
to do it, but it's
legal.
You never know what he's trying to do with his life, what states he might be trying to do that stuff in his life.
I know he wasn't trying to hide it.
I want to be putting his business out there.
I'm not sure that's snitching. I'm not sure that qualifies.
It sort of is, yeah.
I don't know. It's like saying you saw someone smoking a cigarette. I mean, it's legal.
You know what happens? Snitches, right?
What happened?
Get in trouble.
Yeah. Tell him. Number 3, Nick Young. Swaggy P. Number 2, Dion Waiters. And number 1, Draymond Green. That guy has no reason to be as confident as he is. I mean, seriously.
He's got a lot of reasons.
No, Steph Curry's his reason.
Stugotz. He's
put him on the Wizards, Dan. What kind of career does Draymond Green have? Seriously.
Draymond Green.
Right place, right time.
Fair.
Thank you.
It's not.
It's irrational confidence.
He ain't wrong.
He had nothing to do with the winning.
Guys, he is wrong. He is an unprecedented defensive player.
Right.
Like there has never been another basketball player who plays that defense at that size.
Now put him in Washington.
Wow. Literally the best ever is what you're saying.
Right. He'd be a Shanghai Shark. I mean, here come the Rays.
I've been watching them.
Your Rays.
Yeah, I know it. I've been watching it.
You like the new ballpark? Optically, it's got to make for a more enjoyable visual experience, right?
Yeah.
I just love watching their players.
What a time for Dan.
Don't care where they play.
Rays and Pacers.
Oh, Dano.
If your name is SL Price, you think you're better than everyone else. I'm not saying he thinks it, but if someone else out there is named SL Price, that person probably thinks they're better than you.
I know.
I mean,
I had Scott on my podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he is very self-deprecating about that. You know, he admits that it seems like he's really trying to show off.
I want you to know that the only reason he mentioned SL Price for the first time in 20 years is because he was on your podcast. That was not a coincidence.
Wow, thank you, Stugotz.
You got it.
Appreciate
it was actually on his topic sheet last week.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, who reads your topic sheet more than me?
I mean, nobody else got to it last week, so that kind of thing and so forth. You know, but Scott Price.
Why are you adding a so forth to that kind of thing?
So forth and so on.
I thought. Wait a minute. I thought that kind of thing stood alone. I thought that was to
stand out of the way, Dan.
I'm embellishing. You know, sometimes it needs an embellishment, right?
Jack.
Congratulations to David Sampson for staying on the DraftKings network. It turns out it's pretty easy to negotiate against yourself. Travis Hunter getting married and having his wife unbox a Mercedes-Benz at the ceremony feels like it would have been easier to get that thing delivered to the house. If I have to watch you open a Mercedes-Benz at your wedding, guess what? I'm taking back my gift. The toaster, it's coming with me. I mean, who wants to see that?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Oh.
Do that in the privacy of your own home or driveway.
I mean, talk about showy, right? The epitome of showy.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Mercedes, right.
Please.
Jeez. Shohei Ohtani hitting his second leadoff home run in 2 days. Yawn. Do it while pitching.
What? Like while pitching? You want him to hit a home run off himself? Like
I want to see him pitch again.
But you want I know, but you
supposed
say
to get a hitter and a pitcher. They only got a hitter.
I'm just asking for a clarification on what you want. Do you want Ohtani to hit a home run in a game that he's also pitching in, or do you want him to pitch, then go to home plate and hit a home run off his own pitch?
I would like it. That's too much.
Okay, that's too much.
In a game that he's pitching, I would like to see him with a leadoff home run.
Okay.
You know, give yourself a little lead.
Yeah.
You know,
he's half the player he used to be.
Not just give yourself a little lead, right? Because you want him to do that only on the road, or you want him to shut out the team in the top of the first and then hit a home run in the bottom of the first. Just to be clear,
I understand. Road, home, just do it when you're pitching.
Okay. But you want him to give to give your team a lead means you have to be pitching on the road and hit the home run. Otherwise, it means you have to.
So
not
do it on the road.
Okay.
I mean,
I think he should
when you're pitching.
He should pitch and hit at the same time if he were any good. What you do is you bring a bat to the mound and you hit a line. Instead of throwing a fastball, you hit a line drive over the plate.
Right.
Strike! 3
None of that makes any sense.
Sure it does.
None of that made any sense.
I think so.
Okay.
Better not hit it over that short porch either.
That's what I'm talking about.
Nothing. I don't even understand what you said.
don't?
No.
Okay, Ohtani is on the mound
Right.
with a bat.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of grooving a fastball down the plate, what's he doing? He's tossing the ball up, hitting a line drive
Like
over
in
the
the
plate.
cartoons, yeah.
Batter can't get around it.
So he's Bugs Bunny.
Yes.
Well, I mean, how fast does a ball leave a bat? Everybody's got metrics now. Call your math friends. How fast does the ball leave
It's
a bat?
120 miles an hour sometimes when it's Ohtani.
Okay, there you go.
It changes every time. There isn't a universal MPH on it.
Okay, but how fast do you throw? Let's say 100 miles an hour. You can hit it harder than that,
You
right?
can, but it has to be thrown at you 100 miles an hour in order to do that. You've got him hitting it off a tee at 100 miles an hour. That's not how that works.
No, you don't use a tee. You throw it up like we did.
Well, like
back in
infield
the day.
practice, Dan. Like Little League infield practice. When the coach would throw it
They're
up,
not
use a
fungos.
fungo.
They're not
Like
fungos.
Red Berry.
Right.
No.
Red Berry.
Rest in peace,
Nice
Red Berry.
reference.
Greg, you don't understand what you're saying. In order to hit a ball 120 miles an hour, it has to be thrown at about 100 miles an hour.
Is that true?
Yes.
I doubt that.
Tom Amansky could probably do it.
Yes.
That's the type of skill that got back to back to back to back AAU national championship.
Can you guys call some of my physics friends, please?
Oh, God.
Physics
Now it's
friends.
physics. Oh, my
Need a
God.
they
physics
outrank
friend.
them
I
at
know that
level.
center fielder can throw that ball into a garbage can.
I don't care what analytics the Dodgers have. A leadoff hitter should not lead the league in home runs. It's bad baseball.
They're playing it differently
That's
now.
bad baseball.
Yeah, terrible.
They're not. That's not how they're playing.
Cleanup hitters
anymore.
got to lead the league in
That's-
homers.
God, you guys.
Call the math guys.
That's how Amansky taught it. And like Fred McGriff told us,
Yep, crime dog.
that is the instructional video that gets results.
You know what the F in Taylor Fritz stands for? Not France. It's a different tournament, man. Guys who are good on every other surface aren't good there. It's weird.
I mean, it's been the case since they put clay on that court, Stugotz.
Well, it's always been clay, I think.
That's correct. It's that what you're saying is not a revelation. It's always been so.
Sinner's line, and I'm not making this up, was minus 1 million.
What?
I've never seen so many zeros after a 1 in a line. I mean, if you see 2 cents lying on the ground, do you pick it up?
I saw a friend of mine. I saw a friend of mine with a $10 bet that would have cashed $10,000. Tyler Hero, Finals MVP.
Sad bet.
Just light your $10 on fire.
Seriously. Roll it up and smoke it.
Maybe that's what J.R.
Go
Smith
buy
was
yourself
doing.
a sandwich.
Don't snitch. Don't snitch.
He was smoking his betting slip.
Man. Dan, name a White Sox.
A white sock. A white sock.
Name a White Sox. I dare you. Name one. Because I watched the entire White Sox Met game, all 9 innings over the weekend, and I still can't name one.
Jose Contreras.
Get out of here.
Hoyt Wilhelm.
There's no way. Contreras, maybe. Is he? Is he
White
still
Sox.
around? Jose Contreras.
No, he's not.
Dan, you'll never guess who the Mets hitting coach is. Eric Chavez. A professional hitter of baseballs. I like this Mets team. In the early 2000s, nobody played a better third base than Eric Chavez, the hot corner. He's good, man.
That he was?
Yeah. Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. Caitlin Clark hosting the defending WNBA champions. The passing of Jim Irsay and the Indy 500. For just a moment, Indianapolis was the sports capital of the world. Rare for them. Congratulations to them. Joe Rose, the rare host whose voice remains the dominant one, even while on vacation. It's unbelievable. I mean, there's 5 minutes, segments followed by 11 minutes of Joe Rose commercials.
Still doing it.
And he does it like he's still there.
The big dog.
Ah, the big dog. Still getting it done. So we're inside 100 days until the cane season started today. Wow. It wasn't Joe. It was somebody else, but it sounded like Joe. It was Omar. Didn't sound like Joe. They do this weird thing where they have Joe, like Joe's not there, but they make it seem like Joe's still there.
Like Joe AI?
Yeah.
Last of his kind.
Really?
There will never
You're right.
there will never be anything like that again.
Right.
He's had a great career.
That's correct.
Great run.
He was a pretty good tight end. He's been a better broadcaster.
I don't think he was a pretty good tight end. I think he was about 385 yards a season as a tight end.
Good blocking tight end.
No, he wasn't that either. He got ransacked pretty good as a blocking tight end.
Caught Dan Marino's first career
That's
touchdown.
all you can say, and that's why he's had a great career. Everything that happened after. Go ahead and look up his average. Go ahead. Please look up
okay.
for me.
I shall.
I've done it. It's great.
Joe Rose's playing career, so you see how ignorant you are about your Miami Dolphins, Dolphin historian.
He really parlayed that, though.
I think he had a very solid NFL career.
All right, you tell me.
It was a different time for tight ends.
That is
Dan.
correct.
It was.
That is correct.
Okay,
They weren't very good.
That is correct.
Played 7 years.
Yeah.
Here we go. This should be fun.
112 catches.
Right. 7 years.
1,493 yards.
Right.
13 touchdowns.
That's a year for Kelsey.
Not including the playoffs.
Yeah, that is closer with Kelsey.
It's a year for Kelsey.
Kelsey season. Read those stats again. And
Times have changed.
do the
Dan.
averages. Give me his career high in receiving yards for a season.
345.
Okay.
Wow. You know what?
You're surprised by that, huh?
He led NFL tight ends with 345 yards receiving.
That's a big deal.
Travis Kelce in 22 had 110 catches for 1,338 yards and 12 touchdowns.
Show off.
That season.
Is that right? That he led tight ends in receiving
Yeah.
yards? That's really impressive.
Yep.
I mean, of the era, he was Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
But he was playing at a time where Cullen Winslow was playing, right? Todd Christensen.
That is a crazy bit of context. That he was. Are you sure?
I'm seeing bold-faced numbers here. I don't know what. Doesn't that usually mean you led the league in something? I don't know.
Okay, he doesn't actually know.
There's no explainer
It doesn't
here.
seem it. Look, even for the time,
right.
I understand.
I'm
that
going to get to the bottom of this.
The Dolphins of
Thank you.
1972 won the championship with Bob Greasy throwing 7 passes in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Okay, but that wasn't when Joe Rose played. He played 15 years later when 340 yards from a tight end was actually a decent amount for a tight end. I don't believe it would lead the season in receiving.
That's
for
correct.
A tight end.
I will do a quick correction. It led the Dolphins tight ends in receiving.
Okay.
But it did not lead the NFL.
Okay.
It did not lead the NFL in tight ends.
Better than average yards per catch for a tight end, 13.3. You go, Joe.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes, delay a show.
It's a good delay, though.
In 1983, Kellen Winslow had 88 catches for 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns.
Again, not
to
a good
lead the
tight
league.
end. I'll say it again. No offense, Joe Rose. Love your career. Amazing career. Just not as a tight end.
No offense, though.
No offense.
No offense, right. If Andy Murray played in any other era, he'd be the GOAT or in the GOAT conversation.
That's funny.
The A in Andy Murray stands for any other era GOAT conversation. I mean, too bad for him.
I've got another hot take.
Seriously.
Wawrinka, too.
Yeah.
He doesn't even crack the top 4.
Right. It's like all the guys who played when Jordan played. Had Jordan not been around, we might be talking about Olajuwon as the greatest of all time. Maybe Drexler, maybe Barkley. Crazy. Andy Murray. What was he doing there, though?
At his peak.
I know, but come on. The other guys.
At his peak, winning at Wimbledon, he deserves to be there. Stan's got to be pissed, though.
Yeah. Dan, you might have missed this, but Javi Baez is a center fielder.
Haven't missed it. No, we talked about it last week.
I knew he was a Tiger, but a center fielder.
Last week we talked about it. Last week.
All right, sorry.
It's got to suck to be Stan Wawrinka. He's like, I can't even be the Swiss guy.
Kyle Larson going for the double in the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 and crashing in both. Hey, Kyle, why don't you pick one race and master that first? Focus on finishing. Oh, what a joke.
You got anything for him on this, Mike? You were touting Larson last week. You were very much looking forward to something that had to be pretty disappointing.
There have been 12 attempts. Only one person has ever successfully done the double, run all 1,100 miles. It's really hard to do, and on top of that, you have idiots telling you you're a bad driver for just merely trying it. Kyle Larson could have just not tried it and not subjected himself to being in Stugotz's weekend observations. And if you read his post-race comments, it sounds like he's kind of done doing the double.
Good.
It was a very frustrating experience. And no, it's not good. I think pushing the boundaries of what is possible in motorsports is something everybody should aspire to. But the reaction to it has made me, as a Kyle Larson fan, not want him to run it anymore.
We will ask the winner of the Indy 500 question about that in the next 20 minutes.
All right. Tip of the cap to Around the Horn and Tony Reale. Hell of a run. Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
I have some observations about the observations.
Wow.
My question to you to start off, as you say, TJ McConnell leads the league in Pesky.
Yeah, he does.
Do we ever give that to a black guy, or is it always to someone who looks like TJ McConnell? Is he the only one who's getting leads the league in Pesky? That specific adjective.
Eric Snow.
What goes into pesky?
White, I would say.
Yeah, but what do you have to do to be pesky in the context?
Small, annoying.
Okay. Small stealer.
You don't necessarily have to be a ball stealer, but you have to be small and annoying. You also have to be white. And you love to have these people on your own team. It's only something you're experiencing as Pesky as you look at it derisively from the other team, because you don't like that it's beating you. You don't like all the mid-range jumpers. You don't understand how he hits all those 12-footers among the trees. And so you assign peskiness to it, because it can't be athleticism. It has to be that he's doing something with his will.
I would say in baseball, any black short base stealer, if you're fast, you're pesky because you're getting the lead off a base there.
Tim Womack?
Tony Womack? Tony Womack.
Tony Womack.
D.
Gordon?
That's a
I
fine.
don't think, I put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Does being pesky in sports require you to be white?
TJ McConnell, by the way, enough with him. Okay, I'm tired of TJ McConnell. I was watching the
he gets
game.
in the way.
I was watching the game at my in-laws' house, and they're like, "Oh, look at this guy, like TJ McConnell. He's shooting shots." I'm like, he's always in the right spot. He's always hustling. He's always picking you up 94 feet from the basket. I hate him. There's no reason he should be doing all these things. He tries so hard for no reason.
Speaking of picking you up 90 feet from the basket, are you guys impressed by Nesmith and the way he's guarding Brunson? Are you guys impressed by watching what seems to me Brunson get worn down by somebody who physically will fight through every screen? And I think the reason they lost the game, aside from Brunson leaving with foul trouble, is just Nesmith got hurt, and then all of a sudden the Pacers go 1 for 8 from 3 in the fourth quarter, and the whole thing falls apart. But it seems to me, I haven't seen a lot of this. I've watched a decent amount of Knicks basketball this year. I haven't seen a whole lot of people have the physical size to bother Brunson just bringing the ball up court in a way that might make him tired and might impact his judgment when he gets into foul trouble.
He's 100% playing tonight, right? Like Carlisle's, I don't know. Like Carlisle's he's screwing with the Knicks. He's definitely playing tonight, right?
What did they put in his ankle, by the way? Because I saw that ankle turn and I was like, ouch, he's gone for a couple weeks. And then all of a sudden he kind of hops back out there and I was like,
I don't understand what happens this time of year. I don't know how Reinhart is a day-to-day decision. Like I don't get when I see some of these hits. But I saw a championship one from Giannis Antetokounmpo when I thought in those finals that his career had ended.
And then he had 50.
I thought his career had ended from
That
the way
was wild.
that he landed, and then he won the championship like 3 games later.
And he made every free throw.
There are 2 times in recent years where I thought during a basketball playoff game that someone's career was over. It was Giannis in the finals, and it was Joel Embiid after a dunk when he landed on the court and his knee gave, and I'm like, oh my God, that's clearly not a leg that's going to work correctly anymore. And he played the next game. And I don't, get it. I don't understand.
To your Nesmith point, though, he's a very physical defender. He's 6'6", so he's way bigger than Jalen Brunson. He's got the length to kind of get in front of him. But it feels like in certain moments, Jalen Brunson is getting around him and making plays in clutch time.
He'll make them against anybody. Like Brunson, there is no such human being who can defend, not that size or any size, who's going to keep Brunson from getting to the basket. I'm just saying I'm not used to it looking as hard just to dribble up the court as it has in this series for Brunson. I've been surprised, impressed, and taken aback by how important the athleticism of Nesmith is, even though Brunson will get his 40 against anybody.
He's averaging 34 a game in this series, but you're right. Nesmith makes it more difficult for him. He does.
It's what seems to my eye to be true, but it may not actually be true mathematically because, like I said, Brunson is a really unusual player being able to score that way at that size. And I will say, only one time in NBA history during the modern age can you say that a player of that size has ever won the championship. It's Isaiah Thomas. That player gets shut down by bigger players in all circumstances throughout basketball history at the end of the season.
Remember how mad we all got? I think it was last year, how mad we all got at Becky Hammon for saying on television, you cannot win with Jalen Brunson as your best player because he's not Isaiah Thomas.
But he has been in the postseason. He's done everything except win on a broken ankle. But I'm telling you that the defense on Brunson is a problem. When I say ranks 147th out of 147th on defensive metrics plus minus, Stugotz, Carlisle is going to pick at that the rest of the series the way that Tyler Hero got picked at on defense. Every single time Brunson's on someone, that's going to be the matchup that they look to exploit. And it's problematic that if you have Cat and Brunson on the floor at the same time, the Pacers are going to get to play basketball the way they want to with the pace, and they're going to be able to shred your defense because you're terrible at defense when those 2 players are on the court together.
That was always the issue with this Knicks team, right? They traded Karl-Anthony Towns. They have this amazing offensive situation, but then midway through the season, they're like, wow, this defense is terrible. And how are they going to fix it going into the playoffs? Because it's obviously a good enough team to make it to the playoffs. And now you're seeing in these stretch runs of the Eastern Conference Finals, you're like, man, you can't play Cat and Brunson together. Oh, Mitchell Robinson's playing 28 minutes a game, even though he should be playing 20, because he's a great interior defender, grabs offensive rebounds. But it's like that Cat push and pull of like, is he going to be great today on offense? Because if he's not, then he's bad on defense and he's bad overall.
Well, you guys know, right? This is not a surprise to anybody when I say that Karl-Anthony Towns, none of us would have him as a number 1. We would all think of him as an exceptional number 2, and we would all notice that he's much better and his teams are much better when Rudy Gobert is next to him or when Mitchell Robinson is next to him, allowing him to be the biggest floater around the perimeter physically that there's ever been in the history of the league at that side, where he just sort of floats around and plays a game that gets questioned when Jimmy Butler practices well against it because it's not as tough as you would like it to be, and gets him made fun of for everything from his softness on defense to his voice that makes him change his voice because people are always saying, you're not that guy. You're not gritty. You're not the guy who's going to do the gritty stuff that no one else wants to do.
You're not Hartenstein.
Right. Not Pesky either.
I mean, that dunk was pretty awesome.
Yes. Great time to cut. I want to bring up something now that he mentions Hartenstein, and I want to start a new segment that is Dan is terrible at gambling. Because let me tell you what happened soon after in Game 3 the other night between Minnesota and OKC after Richard Jefferson said both teams were literally playing for their lives.
Mm-hmm. I'm just, I maybe he had information we don't, that's all.
Right. He's on the broadcast.
I had Hartenstein. Now, you guys remember how that game ended up, 150 to 101, the biggest loss in the history of OKC being OKC as a city. I had Hartenstein over 8.5 points. I'm just going to tell you how that game started.
I can't wait.
4-0 OKC on 2 Hartenstein floaters.
Oh, are you feeling good?
Soon thereafter, an easy lob for an alley-oop that he somehow clanks on the rim. And he scored 2 more points the rest of the game. I lose Hartenstein 6 points. But that game started OKC up 4-0 with Hartenstein on an unprecedented 4-0 Hartenstein run. Floaters.
Hartenstein was up 4-0.
That's correct. Floaters. I got 8.5. At that point, you're feeling pretty good about your bet, no?
It's a lock, yes.
Got to double down.
You should have hedged.
Yeah.
Do you know how often shit like that happens to me? How does that happen? It's 4-0. They went on the rest of the game to lose by 7,000 points. But at the beginning, they were off 4-0, and my guy had all the points.
Well, you're scrolling the prop bets, and it's on you, really, for stopping at Hartenstein over 8.5 points.
This looks juicy.
I mean,
Feels like a winner.
All the choices you had. I mean,
that's not the only one I made.
A couple
Just going for the
floaters,
top line.
a couple dunks. All of a sudden, he's got 10. You don't know what's going on. He's got 10. You do it.
You got to dig for the treasure, my friend. Sometimes you got to go searching for it. Sometimes you got a hot tip about Mikola scoring a goal, and you go for it. They're crashing the net these days.
I like Stugotz's way better. Stugotz has me making a single bet all weekend. and just searching.
Found it!
Where he has me meticulously scouring for every market inefficiency throughout the French Open, IndyCar, everything else, and being like, you know what I got? Hartenstein. That half point on Hartenstein, like 9's guaranteed. Look how smart I am when they're up 4-0. I knew they were going to run the offense through Hartenstein early so that I could stop watching the game. Soon after, Richard Jefferson said what he said about it being literally for the lives of an OKC team that was up 2-0.
Maybe he knew something.
Can you please tell me about all the awkward things that happened to you? Did anything weird happen to you in Barbados? Like what kind of, just give me some awkward Billy on his honeymoon stuff. Is there anything that...
The non-awkward would be a much shorter story.
Yeah, I wonder how this is going to go. What's the best you got from your honeymoon? And then we'll move on to other things like Antonio trying to steal your job.
I've had a lot of awkwardness, well, in my entire life, I guess. But recently I've had a bunch of awkwardness. So I'd say from the honeymoon, I think the most memorable thing that we did was, so in Barbados, they have an annual carnival, right? Or carnival or whatever, right? It's called Cropover. And it's at the end, well, it's actually called Kadooment, but that's a different story.
All right, go sit outside for a second. We'll get back to it.
Whoa!
Antonio, just go sit in his chair. We'll get back to it.
I'm back, baby.
I want to hear the whole story. I just don't understand why you can't even get the name right of Carnival. And like,
It's Cropover. That's fine.
Why is it called a honeymoon?
It's a good question.
That is a good question. Put it on the poll, Antonio, now that you've replaced Billy in his chair. Do you know why they call it a honeymoon? Mike, do you have the sound? A very simple sound, a very simple question. Basically, I want you to hear Billy, who has a reputation for yammering and just not being able to get anything out, and he's rusty, because he hasn't been paying attention to the internet for 10 days. So he came in here today And it was just a furnace blast of news, all of it weird, disorienting. The local hour has gone someplace else.
We showed him Antonio Brown's feet.
Yeah, like he's missed a lot. I am actually scared when I disappear for my honeymoon. I'm going to come back and I feel like things are just going to be gone. There's the possibility like the shipping container room just floated off into the Atlantic Ocean.
We're still not out of hurricane season.
Yeah, I am going to fall it's very easy to fall very far behind, very fast when it comes to the amount of stimulation and news and sports stuff that you are getting. Billy was off the grid. He comes back. Everything's changed except his inability to say anything quickly. So
it's white now.
Everything is different. Like you
That's the most efficient you've ever been.
Yes. Look at that. Did you learn something on your honeymoon? Okay, so lest you think he has cured his ills of not being efficient, please play for the audience. This is Billy Rusty returning from his honeymoon. Just him simply trying to say where he was.
I've had a lot of awkwardness, in my entire life, I guess. But recently I've had a bunch of awkwardness. So I'd say from the honeymoon, I think the most memorable thing that we did was, so in Barbados, they have an annual carnival, right? Or carnival or whatever, right? It's called Cropover. And it's at the end, it's actually called Kadooment. But that's
for the love of God.
All right,
go sit outside for a second. We'll get back to it. Whoa! You would have kept going. You would have given it 20 names if I didn't cut you off and kick you out. You would have given it 20 names. Actually, the roots of the word come from the 1700s and indigenous people.
I was upset you did that to Billy his first day back, but hearing it back, he absolutely deserved it.
Again, yes. I want you to hear again, just Mike, the last part of it, where he's simply trying to say, Billy is simply trying to tell us, this is a very simple transaction. Hey, Billy, where were you? What were you doing? He got snagged and stuck on where were you?
I've had a lot of awkwardness, in my entire life, I guess. But recently I've had a bunch of awkwardness. So I'd say from the honeymoon, I think the most memorable thing that we did was, so in Barbados, they have an annual carnival, right? Or carnival or whatever, right? It's called Cropover. And it's at the end, it's actually called Kadooment, but that's a different story.
All right, go sit outside for How do I not get frustrated with that? Like I missed it for 10 days, but I don't miss it anymore.
Those are important details.
I normally don't hear, but I heard it.
All right, start again then. And real quick, Mike, just the short version, Billy being asked, where were you, Billy, on your honeymoon? This is a simple question. It gets a simple response in most circumstances, unless you're talking to Billy.
So in Barbados, they have an annual carnival, right? Or carnival or whatever, right? It's called Cropover. And it's at the end, it's actually called Kadooment, but that's a different story.
All right, Billy, we've established where you are and what it's called, kind of. Now, proceed.
All right, so this is how it works. Cropover is like a couple months long, and Kadooment is like the grand finale, and it's like a carnival type thing, and you guys will see from time to time, every once in a while, Rihanna will go back to Barbados, and she'll be like parading in the streets, and it's like Brazilian carnival, basically. So we wanted to do that, which is not something that at all is something that I would probably ever be in my comfort zone, right? You would think me parading.
It's a lack of repressions. It is free, liberated people being themselves. So of course that's the worst place in the world for you to be soaked in fear.
Oh, it gets worse. So to participate in this, you have to sign up with what are called bands, and they have a bunch of different bands that you sign up for. So we found a band, and then I get my costume. You have to pay to get costumes. So I'm going through the streets, and I'm shirtless, and I'm in pink shorts and a cowboy hat and all this fake jewelry that they have on, that it's like massive, like this pendant around my chest and like these arm cuffs. So I'm like going through the streets dressed not in all way that I'd ever be comfortable doing it. And I thought that, you know what, it's like a parade. It'll be like the Three Kings parade that they have in Dade County. And it'll be like a couple blocks, whatever, Thanksgiving Day parade. So when we're in the taxi to get there, I asked the guy, I go, how long is this parade? And he's like, it's 9 to 10 miles. And I'm like, whoa. 9 to 10 miles, like that cannot be right. So I'm like feverishly looking through my phone like, I need to find the parade route. I need to know exactly where I'm going through Barbados. I need to know.
You're doing this with like bejeweled and all sorts of fake jewelry.
Oh yeah, dressed like a clown in the back of it. And don't get me started on Barbados taxis because it doesn't cost $20 American to go everywhere. Okay, like I went like 10 blocks. $20 is way too much to go on a taxi 10 blocks. All right.
Once you're in the cab in their territory, they've got you, Bill. It doesn't matter. You're lucky it was only $20.
Put it on the poll. Once you're on the cab in their territory, do they have you?
It's a home game for them.
A bit steep for the amount of travel that we were. Like 2 miles, $20 seems like a lot, but whatever. So I find out that it's actually a 10K, which is like 6 miles. But either way, I'm not prepared to be walking through the heat dressed like a clown for 6 miles. I haven't walked 6 miles in my life, I don't think. I don't know the last time I did it. And I wasn't wearing my Fitbit, so none of the steps counted. That's the only reason I wear my Fitbit, so my steps count. But if I don't wear my Fitbit, the steps don't count. So it was a total waste of time walking through here. And I was sunburned, obviously. There was lots of
the jewelry. From the jewelry.
Oh, if I could show you the burn that
Please
I had.
Please do. Like,
oh wow! I had a giant circle here for a little bit. Yeah, there was a big circle here for a little bit. Yeah. Everyone was drinking alcohol, but I was drinking water. I thought I was going to pass out and die on the street.
You were careful and responsible at Carnival.
I had to pee so many times, and you had to pay extra to use the wee-wee cart. You know what the wee-wee cart is? I didn't. I had to ask, what is the wee-wee cart? It was basically this flatbed truck with like 6 or 7 porta potties on the back of it, and you had to just kind of hop on it while it's moving, and then go into the porta potty and then hop out.
That's a heady play, man.
That's wonderful.
That sounds delightful.
Very dangerous. Very dangerous.
Man, you guys talk about some weird time for some ads.
So what was the most awkward visually? Like where you're wearing the costume and you find yourself in an uncomfortable place in the cab? Like, was there any place where you were most uncomfortable wearing that stuff?
In public. I'll show you guys the pictures. I'm not putting them out there because I don't trust the internet and I don't trust these listeners because they'll just embarrass me forever if I show you the pictures. I'll show you guys. It was ridiculous. And by the way, the things that were going on in this parade.
Yes, sensual.
Oh, my God. Go on.
Yes.
I saw things I've never seen before.
Baby.
Best F1 minutes with Jessica Spatano.
After a blank space on the calendar, Formula One is back in Azerbaijan despite its reputation for tight corners and narrow roads. F1 is putting a sprint race in Baku. On Saturday, Charles Leclerc is fearless in pole position as the sprint begins. But at the start, London boy George Russell delivers some karma to Max Verstappen, making him a move to push him wide. Max is red, but George says, "Don't blame me." Number 22, Yuki Tsunoda clips the wall and loses a tire after just 2 laps. At the restart, Sergio Perez has a lead with 5 laps left. It's time to go. Checo wins the sprint race, but Max and George have bad blood when the race ends. You guys see what I'm doing yet? Will there be vigilante shit on Sunday?
This
Max,
is amazing.
You need to calm down because it's lights out and away we go in Baku. Sparks fly, and Verstappen is driving like he's in a getaway car and pulls out into the lead. Long story short, Nick DeVries has a glitch and a safety car ensues. Perez is in the lead after a slew of pit stops, but he's not out of the woods yet. The one driver, Max Verstappen, has speed, but that's when Sergio Perez says, "Bye-bye, baby." As the race ends, Esteban Ocon goes into the pit, but the mastermind race organizer
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Stugotz, Alex Palou isn't just a champion. He is the greatest. And I don't know whether he's willing to say he's the greatest or not, but he's a 3-time IndyCar Series champion. He's looking to go back-to-back this season. He's won 5 of his last 6 races, which is crazy, and finished second in the other one. And he got the Indy 500 yesterday. He's the first Spaniard to do so. So we're very excited to have Alex on the show. Thank you for joining us, Alex. What have the last 24 hours been like for you? How did you sleep? How did you celebrate? How crazy has life been?
Thank you guys for having me in the show, but it's been crazy. I mean, as you can see, I lost my voice. Been a lot of screaming and celebrating with the team, with the family, and it's been nonstop since we crossed that.
Can you tell me what the highlight was after winning and all of the experiences of the last 24 hours
the milk,
after the winning? Does it have to be the milk?
Yes, I would say the milk. I mean, the milk is the biggest tradition, right? And it's the biggest difference to all other races. Instead of champagne, it's milk, and that milk tasted so good. I loved it, every second of it. But I would say the victory lap we did at the end. So basically, I went over a pickup truck, and I did a lap after the race was complete, just saying hello to the fans and thank you. So that it was the first time that I was able to experience so many fans and to celebrate with them. There was a lot of people that stayed with us to celebrate at the end. So that was probably one of the highlights.
How about in terms of people you heard from, somebody you were able to share it with, that it was a little extra moving than it might have been other somebody who understood what it meant for you to win this race?
I haven't had much time to go over the phone and all the messages. Honestly, it's been nonstop. But I heard there was Pau Gasol that used to be in the Lakers. He's been following me lately. I think because he knows that obviously I'm from Spain and I'm racing here in US. So similar to him. Then I received a letter from the Kings of Spain, which that's pretty cool. I mean, it's not every day that you receive a letter from them. Cool. So yeah, I cannot wait to go and scroll all over the messages that
so
I
you
got.
Literally went Pau before the King.
You did go Pau Gasol, bit of a stunner to go Pau over the King.
He's a legend, Dan.
But also stunning that you just simply haven't had time to listen or look at your messages. Have you slept at all?
I slept, I would say like 4 hours after the race, and then another 4 or 5 hours last night. We went to the banquet celebration last night in Indianapolis, and we got to New York at about 1 a.m. So it's been nonstop, but honestly, it's been amazing. Like I'm enjoying every second of it. I'm very tired, but I'm loving.
Dan introduced you as the greatest IndyCar driver of all time. Are you?
No, absolutely not.
Wow. Is that what he did?
I mean, it's
no one's had this kind of start since AJ Foyt. It was 50 years ago.
He's having an incredible season. It's people don't really know that this race takes like 3 weeks to qualify and practice for. There were over 7 million people watching, over 350,000 people in attendance. I'm sure part of the celebration is, well, I've done it. But also, where do you go from here? You're in the middle of one of the greatest seasons ever. It's kind of hard to kind of reacclimate to the grind of the regular season in an IndyCar.
Yeah, honestly, it's been an amazing start of the season for us at Chip Ganassi Racing and the 10 car. Like we've won 5 of the first 6 races. I've never experienced anything like that, but the team has done an amazing job on giving us a really fast car every single weekend. Where do we go from here? Detroit. I mean, this weekend we have a great opportunity to try and win at Detroit, try and do our best there. It's going to be tough. Like I cannot have the best preparation that we normally have being on the media tour, but it'll be fun. And then trying to win the championship this year would be super cool to win the Indy 500 and the championship the same year.
Can you take us back to what your thinking was about this as a life and career when you were opening a coffee shop with your wife before all of this winning started, and you thought that maybe that would be the career for you if racing didn't work out?
Yeah, that was back in 2018. I didn't know if I was gonna have a real chance. I was not a professional back then. Like I was racing all over the world, but it was tough to get like a real contract for like years. So I didn't think, or I didn't know if I was gonna have a career. So we were like, you know what? Let's do something together with my wife. So we opened a coffee shop. We ran it for 2 years, and then we moved to America as soon as I moved to IndyCar. So we sold it. It was fun. We learned a lot, and I'm glad that my racing career went better than my coffee shop career.
Well, you were terrible. You were terrible at it, right? You were doing all of the work. You were cleaning tables, but you were a terrible coffee shop owner, were you not?
I was not doing everything, but I did clean a lot of tables, and I did make a lot of coffees. I thought I was decent. I was working my ass off every single day there because it was our business, but it was fun. It was a huge
All right, forgive me, a correction. Were you a successful coffee shop owner? Was the coffee shop something that would have been a good career if racing hadn't worked out?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was great. Like honestly, it was on this little town in Spain called Girona. It's like an hour away from Barcelona. A lovely town, and yeah, it was going really well. Then COVID hit us. We were still doing great, but yeah, I think it would have been a good business still
All right,
today.
so but if I had come to you then and said, "What do your wildest dreams look like that are realistic right now in racing?" Does it look anything like your last 6 races?
Absolutely not. Like my goal back then was to hopefully one day be part of IndyCar. When I say be part, it's just like have a contract of like 1 year and be able to make all the races and have fun and hopefully get a win or something. But yeah, it was not what we have today. This is a wild dream that I'm living on, and yeah, it's insane.
It seemed like the conditions this year were unique. The track was damp because there was a delay as all the drivers were in their car. You had very seasoned veterans making mistakes, cars stall out on the pit. Connor Daly admitted to peeing himself. Kyle Larson has a spin out and takes out Stingray Robb. It was a very confusing race for people that are just jumping into IndyCar mid-season. What was so difficult about the cars and the track this year?
Well, it was the first time we had the hybrids at the speedway. It just added a little bit of weight, a little bit stress to the tires. Then the conditions were not amazing. Like it was super cold. I think it was the coldest Indy 500 we had in the past 10 or 15 years. So it was tough to get the tires into temperature. It was easy to make mistakes. And at the same time, it's the field is so close that you need to go super aggressive nowadays since lap 1, just to try and move yourself up front and have a chance at the end to fight for the win. So yeah, it was tough to get into a rhythm with so many yellows at the beginning, but yeah, I'm glad everything worked out for us.
Have you ever peed yourself?
No, never until today, never. Connor did. I know some drivers did. But yeah, I was close, actually. I was close. We had the rain delay at the beginning of the race. We were sitting in the car for like 35 minutes. There was nothing going on. Just think that we try and hydrate as much as possible before the race, because it's going to be a long 2.5, 3 hours, and you're going to sweat a lot. So being sitting in the car for like 35 minutes without doing anything, your mind started being like, okay, Alex, you need to pee, you need to pee, you need to pee. So yeah, I think that's what happened to Connor. That's what he said, but I'm glad they didn't have to make it.
Can you explain to the person who might not understand the physical, emotional, and mental drain of how you feel after a race when you have gone in that particular heat, losing, I don't know, how much weight do you lose during one of these races, and how exhausting is it to be that kind of focused for that long?
I would say we lose about 4 or 5 pounds of just pure sweat. Just think that it's a 500-mile race. Like, although we're going really fast, it's still 500 miles that you're sitting and strapped in that racing car. That it's not, the suspension is made for performance, not for being comfortable. We don't have power steering. We don't have power brakes. So it's quite physical. And then just the mental stress of like not being able to relax for 2.5 hours. You need to constantly know what you're doing, look for any accidents around you, and try and avoid any scenarios. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun what we do, but for sure it's exhausting.
How often will you have drifting thoughts where you're like just thinking, I really enjoyed that ham sandwich in Portugal that time I was there? Or like, how often do you have thoughts that aren't about racing while racing?
And during a race, it happens sometimes. Sometimes it happens that you're like, oh, wow, that coffee, man, or I need a coffee, or you start thinking about stuff. But it's important to refocus super quick. I think that's a key. It's normal to have like thoughts that are from the outside that are not related to racing. We don't have it, at least I don't have it very often, but sometimes happens during the race.
Any chance of you going to F1?
No, I tried. Like I tried 3 years ago. I did some testing with it, but didn't really have a full-time ride there. So it was better to focus on IndyCar, trying to get as many wins and championships as possible. So yeah, man. Now I think I'm in a in a perfect scenario with the team, with the 10 car DHL with us. Like, we have an amazing group of people, and there's not many places that I would rather go than where I am, and actually it would be really, really tough to live.
Also, it seems like it's a really difficult thing to do, racing multiple circuits. I know you came from F1. Kyle Larson had the famous double attempt this past Sunday. Only one time has it ever been successful. I don't know if you're at the point where you feel like you have enough accomplishments that you can even entertain, maybe possibly pull in a double. NASCAR seems to be about it and affords someone doing it the other way, coming from IndyCar, going into a NASCAR. But Kyle Larson seems very dejected, had a very frustrating day out on that track, and it sounds like he doesn't necessarily want to give it another go. What kind of advice would you give him? Because it did bring a lot of good attention to the sport.
Oh, it was great. It was huge for us, honestly. Like, Kyle is an amazing driver. Not only he's good, but also like how he carries the sport and how he talks about it. It's amazing. He's an amazing driver. I think it's just very it's a very long 2 weeks for IndyCar. Like, we are there, the pressure is on. You're there like every single day at the track. It's long days, and then combining that with something else, it has to be very demanding physically and emotionally, mentally, everything. So I think it has to be very, very tough. I would say that nowadays it's easier for a NASCAR driver to come to IndyCar because we have so much testing. While if there's an IndyCar driver that wants to go to NASCAR for the double, you don't really have much testing. So you don't really have the opportunity to learn about the car, the team, and just to get comfortable with it. Although I would love to do it. If I had the opportunity, the good opportunity one day, why not? I love racing cars. I think I would get in trouble there. Like, these guys know how to race on ovals very well, and their style of racing, it's a little more aggressive than what we have in IndyCar, but still would be fun to one day try it.
The NTT IndyCar Series continues this Sunday, June 1st, on the streets of downtown Detroit, 12:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox, the Fox Sports app, and IndyCar Radio Network.
Alex, you went to the Knicks Pacers game after winning the Indy 500. I'm wondering, courtside seats?
Yes.
Yes? Did you leave when the Pacers were up 20?
No. So I actually entered the court when I think they were about tied. Then they were up 20. The energy was super high, and I stayed until the end. And yes, the energy at the end wasn't great.
How have you sat courtside before, or this is fresh off the championship, and this is you were expecting courtside? Like, would you have not gone in if they had put you 17 rows up?
I would still have gone. Honestly, I just wanted to celebrate a little with more people to get the vibe. I mean, the energy at the city right now, it's amazing. But yeah, it was my second time being courtside. It's amazing. Like, you need to be also like all the time in alert, because like these guys that are like, I don't know how tall, and they just come aggressive at you. So yeah, it was a fun time. It was a fun night, and yeah, I was glad to be able to experience it once again.
Tony wants to play a game with you. Your English is exceptional, but it is not it is not your first language, and so Tony wishes to play a game with you in your first language. Let's play it.
¡Dímelo, mi gente! Alex, felicidades, tío. ¿Cómo está la cosa?
Muy bien, muy bien.
Ok, so vamos a jugar un juego que se llama Refrán del Día. So I'm going to give you a phrase in Spanish, and you're going to tell our audience what it means in English. Okay, are you ready?
Okay, I'll try my best.
These are usually dirty, though. I'm scared.
They're dirty.
They're
dirty.
They're usually dirty. I don't know whether he's going to like this game or not.
He's also got proper Spanish. He uses vosotros.
All right, let's spin the wheel and see where it lands.
Roy has no idea where the wheel is. He doesn't know how to play this game.
Great fake wheel.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, I know where it landed.
Excellent.
How do you like that? Alex, can you please let the people know what me cago en la leche means?
Oh, my God.
Me cago en la leche.
Jesus.
That would be like, I mean, do I need to translate it or the meaning of the phrase? Because if I translate it, I'm gonna shit on that milk, but it has a different meaning.
That is right. Well, hold on a second. Just so that you know, the Indy 500 winner has said that he's going to shit on that milk. That is what he has said. But and so we've gotten him in a huge amount of trouble.
What this means.
No, that's what he said.
I'm not liking this game. I'm not liking this game.
Shit on this milk.
Yes, but you can also say what it means to say I'm going to shit on that milk, which makes no sense.
Yeah, it makes no sense, but it's more like saying "dang it" or some words that I prefer not to say here.
Okay, well, it's too late. You already said them. We tricked you because you're tired after your delirium. On this one last note before we let you go, can you explain to us the historical perspective of what it means to win this particular race, which is different for anyone who cares about racing than all the other races?
It's huge. It's amazing. It's unbelievable to be in this position, to represent the Speedway, to represent the 500 miles, and I would say motorsport in general. It was a dream of mine to one day be here. But honestly, like it's not only an important race for the motorsport community. It's also important for everybody that it's not normally following motorsport. They learn about it, they hear about it, and we had like 8.4 million people watching the end of the race on Sunday on Fox. So it's huge. It's worldwide, and it's amazing to be part of it.
Final question here. We play a game around here called Indy 500 for your life. Okay, I'm going to give you two drivers. You have to pick one of them. If that guy were to lose, you would die. Okay, you understand the game?
Okay. Wow,
very difficult. A lot of pressure.
I'm not liking your games, guys.
I know.
What's going
I don't
on?
blame
Okay,
you.
but Indy 500 for your life, you have two options. Okay, Al Unser or AJ Foyt. Who you going with?
I would say probably AJ Foyt.
Yeah, you're living. Yeah.
All right, congratulations. Alex gets to live. He's the first racer since A.J. Foyt in 1979, 5 of 6 races. And again, he finished second in the other one, and he also shits on your milk. Thank you, sir. Gracias. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. That was fun.
He's deeply embarrassed. He did say it. We've got it for all time now.
In a bad spot. Milk is kind of like a big deal when it comes
Yes,
to the Indy 500.
we did.
Well, that's why I did the thing.
Yes,
that's
he
why I
did.
did
You
the thing.
tricked
And he said, like, do you want me to
Spain saying,
literally translate or give you the meaning? And you're like, no, literal. And like he was like trying to like.
Gotcha journalism. That's exactly what we did there.
My sense is he misses that coffee shop. I mean, seriously. Did you guys sense that? I wanted to ask him if he wanted to get back in. I'd go 50-50. Little espresso lane. I mean, how about that?
I like it.
I
like that.
You're in, huh?
Yes.
Greg Cody had an opinion here today that I had not heard from him before, and I don't know what instigated it. Greg Cody has said that in general, cities are bad at celebrating championships. And first of all, I don't know how he arrived at the take, and I don't know why he's having it today. Is there something in particular that got your attention on celebrating championships where a city did it poorly?
Well, there was the thing in Liverpool. They were celebrating a soccer championship, and a car, it wasn't terrorism or anything. Maybe it was an accident, but a car drove into a crowd. Wherever cities are celebrating, major cities, you hear about, people are falling from lampposts and fireworks are going off, and there's all kind of mayhem. Why can't we just celebrate to celebrate without feeling like we have to, like, mob mentality where everybody's all of a sudden doing things they shouldn't do? And I think cities need to really take a step back and rethink the whole idea of how we celebrate what should be nothing but a joyous occasion.
To the side?
Stand to the side.
I think you're saying organize it more, right?
I mean, something. It's gotten out of hand. And it used to be like Detroit always had that reputation. Now I feel like it's every city. There are incidents going on, like the Kansas City Chiefs. There was a big crime during their celebration.
Mass shooting.
Yeah, I mean, it's become depressing almost, because when a team wins a big championship and there's a big celebration, a parade, what have you, you almost expect something terrible to happen.
Well, let me explore this part with you guys, because obviously if you mix emotion, joy, or any emotion with liquor, you're going to have a certain sense of danger involved and risk involved. But if on top of that, I say to you the following: sports create an emotion unlike anything else in your life, if you're a sports fan, if I say greatest day of your life, when did you exhibit the most emotion? I don't know if you jumped up and down and screamed when your children were born or whatever you view as the happiest days of your life, but you'll do that in a game 3 of a series, screaming at the television with an emotion outsized compared to all of your other emotion. An emotion you share with strangers in a way you don't even at concerts when you go to concerts. There's nothing like sports in terms of triggering both crazy emotions, high end and low end. And then, of course, when I throw a bunch of people together and those crazy emotions and permission to be joyous and out of control, all of those things can be a powder keg that there are no boundaries for, right? That security isn't going to prevent people from getting trampled in crowded places. I don't know, outside of Pamplona, a lot like it in terms of I'm going to put these ingredients together where there's danger and a party, and I'm going to throw emotion into the mix, and then I'm not going to get any collateral damage.
It should be noted, though, this happened over in the UK. Outside of the Kansas City ones, most championship parades here in the United States go without incident, and it's a massive logistical hurdle that many teams and communities clear. This one was different, and I think you're fair to criticize if you watch the buildup and how that video happened with this particular attack. It seemed totally avoidable, and a building up of tension and all the emotion, and yes, certainly some alcohol fueling to it, but this was a very UK issue, this particular incident.
Well, when you're in a stadium, I think one of the greatest parts of being a fan is you're in the stadium, the home team scores a big touchdown, wins a huge game. You're high-fiving with neighbors in the stands that you don't even know, right? There's a real community feeling. There should be that same thing when 100,000, 300,000 people are gathering to celebrate winning a championship. But it, as often as not, and I don't think it's rare that it happens, as often as not, it gets out of hand. Whether it's just a few people causing trouble, I don't know the dynamic of that. But
It's free, and it's a free-for-all.
But why is
There's no assigned seating.
Why
and
does it become a free-for-all?
Because it's free. And everyone wants to try to get the best seat. That's part of the problem. They're fighting to get closer to the parade.
I don't think you're right, though, the math. I'll have to call my math friends. But I don't think you're right on the idea that it happens more often than not. You'll have your occasional arrest, but obviously something like what happened in Liverpool is noticeable enough that it's not common in any way for a car to go careening into a crowd. And also then the subsequent reporting to show it's not terrorism because we've got that general fear around everything that we're doing around the globe these days. But I want to ask all of you, what finishes second place to this set of ingredients? The joy around winning a championship, creating for a bunch of human beings an outward emotion all of us can see that looks bigger than any other emotion they've shown in their life for anything that they get to share with strangers and a community. I want to know what the distant second is on now add liquor to that and see where all of it goes and how dangerous that will be if I put all of those things together.
I think that contextually, too, there were other trophy celebrations going on in the UK simultaneously. Tottenham won their first trophy in over 30 years for the Europa League final, and they've had a dreadful season, so they had every reason to party to the absolute peak. Went without incident. Crystal Palace is a club that never wins trophies. They win the FA Cup. They have their big celebration. Liverpool, championship parades, fairly commonplace recently over there. I think if you look at this in a vacuum, you can make all sorts of changes and everything like that, or you can look at it on the surface and realize we don't really see things like this. I don't know all the times a car's gone careening into pedestrians during a parade. I understand the images were shocking, totally avoidable, really heartbreaking, but I don't know if you want to stand in the way of tradition because this one incident when there were a lot of breakdowns here.
The last time it happened was in New Orleans where a car drove into a crowd. It wasn't celebrating a championship.
No, that was a terrorist attack.
It was, but I don't agree with Greg on his premise that this happens more often than not. I think more often than not, these things go off without major incident. And I still want an answer to my question, what else in the world exists that is this particular cauldron where it is inviting some of it? If you've got people out of control with emotion, even if it's happiness, like it can happen too, with unhappiness. But even if it's happiness, I really don't have a life example for you on things like this that are shared with strangers, where you're going to be outside yourself with what is normal emotion, and now you're going to mix it with a bunch of people where you're just out of control with delirium.
I don't think there's anything else, because how many things in the world are this many people getting together at the same time?
Music
Okay, so there's concerts or music festivals, but like, then that's it, right? Anything else?
Yes. And there have been bad situations at music festivals. The tragedy with the Astro World, the Woodstock 99. Things can go out of hand. I was recently at a music festival in Daytona, and there were 250,000 people that went through the turnstiles for the 3-day weekend during a heat wave. And you would think, metal festival, all the makings of things going bad, and they go out of their way to lower the price of water, allow re-entry. Really good concert organizers go out of their way to mitigate some of these circumstances that could lead into a tragic situation like Astro World.
You get a Scarlet Fire second set at a Dead show, you'll see strangers hugging strangers. The fact it's a lyric in the song, strangers stopping strangers just to shake their hands.
That's drugs, though. That's not emotion.
Oh, it's totally mushrooms, yes.
I wanted to ask you guys something here, because I told you I've been talking recently on Apple Plus TV that Seth Rogen, I underestimated him. I think of him with a certain kind of comedy that feels like Pineapple Express or 40-Year-Old Virgin or anything in that realm, which is funny but not necessarily smart and captivating or artistic. And The Studio on Apple TV is an extraordinarily funny and well-made artistic endeavor. It's a beautiful thing. But there's another thing that I've seen recently in comedy that I cannot recommend strongly enough. And you know, if you've been listening for a while, that I regard this man as a genius because of his comedy being just so extraordinarily likable and enduring. But Conan O'Brien Must Go is the funniest travel show ever made. And it follows Conan Without Borders, which was also exceptional, but it is such ambitious comedy and television that he's making while ripping everyone off so that he can just travel the world and see the entirety of the world. And travel shows are the easiest thing in the world to make, but they're not easy to make funny. They're not easy to make this kind of where they have range and creativity. And there are only 3 episodes so far. But what he tried to achieve with Conan Without Borders, which was great, he has now surpassed because he has gotten better at the making of a travel show. And it is just wildly entertaining to see him make fun of himself in a way that's likable and give himself over physically to something that is just wildly funny.
It's also odd for a 62-year-old to keep their funny. He's been in comedy for close to 30 years. He's had a shtick. Usually the act runs dry, that well runs dry, especially someone who relies so much on the physical aspects of comedy. He's diving around at a soccer game, busting himself open at north of 60. So it's really the ambition to do this in your 60s, the ability to remain relevant, to remain funny, doing the same jokes that you've been done in terms of physical comedy well into your 60s is not a grace that we afford comedians all that much. But he makes it work with writing and delivery.
Not only that, though, Stugotz, because he's got a lot of help from famous people and funny people, but it is rare. I am grateful for our partnership in 1,000 different ways, and I am grateful for you as the helper on the things that we do for 20 years. But what he does with Jordan Schlansky, his sidekick on being just the obnoxious, smarter than everyone person, but always as the straight man and neither one of them breaking characters, allowing Conan not to be the butt of the joke, but allowing Conan to make someone else the butt of the joke in a way that's really likable because the guy that he's doing this with is a friend who's purposely trying to be unlikable and effortlessly doing so because he is unlikable with how much he knows. It is a comedy team, I'm not kidding you, for all time. If you listen to Conan Needs a Friend and what he's doing on Sirius XM, what they're doing in partnership, I'd argue is, and this is a compliment, okay? Because this man has had 30 years on television making things different than everyone else. I'd argue that what he's doing now is the best of what he's doing because he's most comfortable and most likable in a format that doesn't have the rigidities and the cold of television and television lights. So he's connecting with his fans. And this particular project, Mike, I don't know what you've been most impressed by watching, but the way that he ends up, for example, doing things that test the limits of, I'm just going to appear randomly in a famous soap opera in that country where they don't even speak English.
Or make a Norwegian rap song. His improvisational skills, too, are just top level elite because a lot of what goes on in the show, and I don't see the script. I don't know what exactly they're planning, but the way that it feels is, all right, we're just going to have you talk to this person that hosted like a Viking cosplay thing and just go be funny. That is a very difficult goal to achieve. Hey, funny man, just in your 60s, go be funny and make us laugh and improv, and you don't know what this person is going to say. You react and you make the people laugh, and he delivers. Yes, there's great production. There are bit players around him that make it work, but ultimately at the heart of it, it lives and dies with Conan O'Brien's performance to be as funny as he's ever been at 62 years old. And to also be endearing to the audience, not push people away. A guy doing physical comedy and doing the same shticky stuff that you've seen him do, that can grow tired and grating on an audience, and he finds a way to apply enough humanity and be likable enough that you end up rooting for him even when he's antagonizing people around him. It's a special skill that he has.
Stugotz, I cannot tell you how high a compliment I'm giving him personally, given how much I admire 30 years, more than 30 years of work for somebody who worked on The Simpsons, and his talk show was groundbreaking even amid the giants of late-night television, to call the work he's presently doing the best of his career. It's just a huge tribute to wherever it is, his neuroses and his needs for attention make him somebody who has to be the clown who gets people's attention and knows how to get their attention with funny, but also pulls off the second trick, which is the hardest thing to do. The likability is indisputable. Anybody watching that is going to come away. You might not even think he's funny, but you're like, man, that guy is great around people. It's just so nice to see him create.
He's comfortable around people.
Well, such a contagious sort of happiness that he's spreading by embracing, I'm a 6'6" red clown with crudely painted eyes like you'd find on a doll. And making fun of himself physically and having very little ego. And then on top of that, having a conversation on his podcast network with John Mayer, for example, where you're like, oh my God, I knew John Mayer was smart and interesting. I had no idea that he had that range as both smart and funny that Conan O'Brien just brought out of him, because Conan O'Brien needs a friend. Like, I really can't speak highly enough about what Conan O'Brien is doing with this portion of his career.
Comedians don't have runs like this. They don't. Look how sick people got of Jay Leno. Look how sick. And stand-up comedians, I mean, the Dice Man exists in a moment in time.
The guy who had it was George Carlin.
It's to be a timeless act, but also shticky. And to have people still waiting for you to do the shticky stuff while you're also challenging yourself on the improv, he's an alien. For him to be this funny for this long, to be that quick improvisationally, to have built-out bits, because what he does with Schlensky is like a really built-out bit over time and still deliver time in and time out. I'm just in awe of the guy.
I remember 15 or 20 years ago, the comedian Albert Brooks had a pretty, what I thought was a pretty inventive documentary or film. I don't know how they characterize it.
I don't think it's that old. I think it's more recent than that. It's not 15 years old.
Looking for comedy in the Muslim world is what I'm talking about.
Okay, it's a different one that you're. Yeah. I'm thinking of the one he just made more recently.
No, but that was the same type of thing where he's going to a foreign country and trying to find the comedy. But you're right about Conan O'Brien. I have such respect for him. I have yet to see this new series, but certainly will, based on.
You haven't seen either of them? You haven't seen Conan Without Borders?
The Norway thing is as good a standalone piece of television or when the goal is we're going to try to make you laugh with a travel show, I don't see how you could do it better than he did that.
I would recommend it strongly. I would also say to you, Roy, see if you can find for me, because when he mentioned Albert Brooks, Albert Brooks. I saw the recent documentary on Albert Brooks that I believe was done by Judd Apatow, who has also done a very good documentary on Gary Shandling. And the details escape me right now on how the father of Albert Brooks died, but I want to get to that story before we get out of here, because comedically, it's dark comedy perfect for Albert Brooks's father to die, I believe, during a speech or during a performance at a friar's roast of some sort. And the details are crazy on dark comedy on how it is that his father died, and memorable.
Yeah, Harry Einstein died after performing a stand-up routine at Lucille Ball's induction into the Friars Club. This was back in 1958. He did the routine, he killed, and then he sat down, and then he died.
Okay, but there was also a song that played right afterward that was basically a song about death. And what you heard Roy right, Albert Brooks's real name is Albert Einstein. His original last name is indeed Einstein, and his brother is Super Dave, our friend Bob Einstein.
Yeah, rest in peace. I think Mulaney in that Kennedy honors, which was also a very interesting point in time for that particular honor to happen, said being a Conan supporter is like rooting for a recreational center, an underserved part of the community that is constantly under threat of being shut down. Like, you feel like you have to do a GoFundMe every 10 years for Conan's career to be able to make your audience jump through so many hoops to have your back and to still lift them up with laughter after all these years. Name another example of someone that's done that.
The song was called There's No Tomorrow.
Of course it was.